The broken-hearted Di Xiao Wan, too, against that interrogative inquiry. Di Xiao Wan, Demon's sister, didn't have the courage to meet her gaze. Say it, what's the matter? Seeing how avoiding the girl was, Bai Yin was sure she's hiding something. It doesn't matter if you don't say it. We can always stay here another month or so after we're done dealing with the Dong family's affair. Sister-in-law. The young maiden was ready to cry now. You can't, otherwise Chu Yi's brother from the Holy Land will be here soon. Startled by the outburst, Bai Yin hurries to pursue the topic. What do you mean by that? I just saw Chu Yi, Holy Land princess, exchanging word with her brother. At this rate, it won't be long, merely 2 days before her brother arrives. I even saw her personal guards heading out to wait for the man. From the Holy Land to the Lu Hua Kingdom, passing through the Qixia Kingdom was a must, meaning so long as someone stands ready at the doorway, then surely they can intercept Chu Yi phone. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Now, that's a headache indeed for Bai Yin. She clearly told those back at the Holy Land not to intervene. I thought I have already told them not to intervene in my personal affairs. Why would he be coming still? I don't know, but let's hurry and finish the matters here. Once we're back at home, then no one can snatch you away with my brother there. Those words were said through grits and stones. Di Xiao Wan, Demon's sister, maybe a dumbaklutz, but she too can see her friend was using this opportunity to sneak her own brother in while Di Tsong wasn't around. I must keep other wife snatchers away while Big Bro is away. Thinking of this, Di Xiao Wan's demon sister focus inexplicably shifted towards the baby boy nearby, her mood lighting up already at the sight. No matter what, Bai Xiaochen is my brother's son. Surely he would side with us and keep those pursuers away. Xia. Just as the girl was ready to ask for help from her nephew, the baby boy had already jumped the gun and cried out in delight using those big, cuddly lips of his. Mother, is Godfather coming? If so, then why don't we wait for him before leaving? As a result, Di Xiao Wan's request was instantly shoved back in her throat, unable to go down or back up. It's bad enough she's choking on her own words, but the fact that she could hear her heart shattering was truly painful. It was then at this moment, during the group's little antics, that a series of furious footsteps could be heard rushing over. This was Fu Baiyan. Without a single word or explanation upon her arrival, she immediately knocked the tea table over with a giant kick of her leg, thus spilling all of the contents onto the ground as a result. Is it you? Are you the one who harmed my son, you little bitch? Not even bothering to meet that furious gaze, Bai Yin instead leaned backwards against the chair to put on a comfortable posture. Remember to lick every drop of the water off the ground now. Towards his mother's order, the baby boy can only blink his eyes in confusion. But mother, what if she can't clean it all? That's easy. We could just lop off whichever leg she used to kick over my table. As the old saying goes, who you mix around with is a reflection of yourself. Because of her extended interactions with Di Tsong, even that habit of lopping people's limbs off was now rubbing off on Bai Yin. You bitch! Going cold in her face, Fu Bao Yun, shameless woman, directly makes a slap for her target's face. Unfortunately for her, though, before that hand could reach its target, Di Xiao Wan, Demon's sister, had already intercepted it mid-flight by pinching that wrist. Who did you call bitch? Her gorgeous big eyes were unbefittingly filled with anger. Who do you think you are to scold my sister-in-law? To do such a thing in Di Xiao Wan's very presence, that's equivalent to insulting her too. Now that won't do, will it? Making a sneer at the girl's question, Fu Baiyan only shot a derisive look at Bai Yin before speaking. She's Bai Yin, Lan Xiaoyan's cousin, am I right? I know her name. She's utterly famous, even in our Qixia Kingdom. The one who got impregnated before marriage and then eloped with her man. Such a slut could be mocked by anyone in this world. The broken-hearted Di Xiao Wan 3. The false fact that Bai Yin eloped with a man 5 years ago was undeniably a humiliating event for the Lan house. Therefore, it also indirectly affected Dong Roland too, whenever she returned to the Dong house for a visit. Unforgiving and unyielding. There were no mercy shown here by the demon princess in her ability to dish out a punishing slap. Because of the force involved, Fu Bao Yun, shameless woman, was actually sent flying out like a rolling pin this time. Different from Bai Yan's kick, but just as deadly. Watching the abhorrent figure lying there on the ground, Bai Yin finally stepped in. Xiaochen, go call both elders out here for me. If they won't get justice for my aunt today, then I will have their dong house turned upside down. In response to that statement, the baby boy only had sympathy for these foolish people, especially at the cowardly man that's standing there. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Mother, I will go right away. After saying this, Bai Xiaochen immediately dashed out of his mother's embrace and headed for the inside. Before long, that tiny body was gone from view. Do you think I will be afraid of those two old fools? Climbing up from the ground by gnashing her teeth, Fu Bao Yun simply doesn't learn. What are you still standing there for? Did you not see her hitting me? Go teach her a lesson. Before Dong Ruo Qin, cowardly man, could say anything else to his wife's order, their attention pulled to their back by the distant small figure running back over. Mother, without delay, the baby boy had already pounced back into his mother's arm. That angelic face delightfully bright as he spoke. Did I do well? I also called for this ugly dragon to come over too. Normally Bai Xiaochen would simply ignore such a ugly creature. But since this was about supporting his Annie Xiaoyan, it's only proper they bolster their aura to intimidate the other side. Gror, working incoherent with his master, the glass dragon starts growling aloud to send the shameless woman straight back to the ground. To be clear, the dragon made no attempt to scare anyone else here. Simply the woman because he disliked her for that insult earlier. Be good, behave yourself, patting the dragon on the head like a boss. Bai Xiaochen timely stepped in before anything more could occur. If you perform well today, then I will give you some snacks as reward. Why did he hate the dragon before? It's because he didn't want another mouth trying to snatch his food away from the already limited portions Bai Yin was willing to give. It's fine if this dragon was good-looking, at least he can bolster his ranks with something nice, but he's so ugly. There's no way Bai Xiaochen would want to share if he's of no use. Cousin, Lan Xiaoyan, second male cousin, awkwardly rubbed the back of his head. We've really troubled you this time to make you come so far. Neither pleased nor angry at the formality, Bai Yin only showed a faint smile at her bigger cousin's demeanor. Anne is my family, so of course I have to get involved. Looking at that brilliant face, Lan Xiaoyan, second male cousin, was surprisingly shy. Coughing twice to clear the mood, he averts his gaze before he embarrasses himself. Fu Bao Yun. Just as the mood was calming down, a sudden roar from the back instantly riled up the shameless woman on the ground. It was Dong Tianling, old lord, who came running out. This was not all that surprising for Fu Bao Yun, shameless woman, to be taken aback by her father-in-law's holler. Ever since she married into the family, not a single person would dare roar at her, so this would be the first. Fu Bao Yun, surging with anger in his eyes, the old lord was practically screaming at this point. You not only hurt my daughter, you even deceived us by giving her some fake medicine. What do you have to say for yourself? Shockingly enough, Fu Baoyan showed no fear nor repentance at the interrogating words shooting her way, only a mocking sneer like she has done no wrong. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The Demon Beast sect is here too. No matter how stupid Fu Bao Yun was, not even she can shirk off the fact that her brother was afraid of Bai Yin. Shuddering in her voice, this woman is but a discarded daughter of the Bai house. Why are you? Without incident, it's certain that the boy will be the future lord of that power. PFFFF. Already ashen in her face to begin with, Fu Bao Yun could no longer hold back her horror. Spurting out a sieve puff of blood from her mouth, she had devolved into madness and jealousy. I don't believe it. Even my children are not qualified to become the lords of the Demon Beast sect. How can a wild child of an unmarried woman be worthy? The lord of the Demon Beast sect must be blind. Even if they do fancy someone, then it should be my children, not that dirty woman's. An ignorant wench like that doesn't deserve such honor. Boom. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Just now, who did you call a wild child? Staring down at the blood-ridden woman below her, Bai Yan's pupil looked like it was brewing up a storm in how cold they were. Injured to the point where she hardly screamed anymore, Fu Bao Yun didn't answer. She may be dumb and outrageous, but her life was definitely important to her. that she wouldn't want to gamble away for some mouthing off. In that second, the abhorrent woman instantly changed. No longer arrogant and egotistic, there were horror and panic. How did she know that? Impossible. She must be deceiving me. Thinking up to here, Fu Baoyun finally shuts her dirty mouth, refusing to even look at the reddish figure. Nothing else to say? Bayan's quietly snickers a sneer. Weren't you yapping aloud just moments ago? Now that I'm giving you the chance, why aren't you speaking? This time Fu Baoyun was at least smart enough to remove the word wild child from her statements. Nevertheless, her sneer only made that blood-trickling mouth more disturbing. Whoa, there are firebirds, eagles, golden vultures, and all sorts of varieties. But more importantly, there was a human standing on each and every single flyer. Yes, humans. For the crowds of people looking up in awe at this scene, all they can do was drop their jaws in utter shock. Mother, clapping onto his mother's hand, Bai Xiachen stared innocently up at the reddish figure. It wasn't I who called these demon beasts here. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The demon beast sect is here. 3. Of course they weren't called by you, my son. They have already been tamed by another. Despite her brows P.R.I.C. king up at the swarm in the sky, Bai Yin had no intentions of releasing her foot from Fu Baoyun's chest down below. Sister-in-law, puckering her lips, Di Xiao Wan, demon princess, suddenly chimes in. Don't worry. Even if the royal family of this kingdom gets involved, it won't save them from me. Just as the demon girl was busy having her unimportant thoughts, one of the leading figures had already jumped down from above. This was a middle-aged man donning a robe of blue. Whether it be his facial features or aura, it's full of bleakness that left no delusions about his upright nature. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. You are startled there by the newcomer, Fu Tianqi, king, wrinkles his brow at the person. Boom! Before the person could think any further, an imposing aura suddenly explodes out from the back mountain, shocking the king in the process. Fu Tianqi may not have eyes behind his back, but there's only one person in the whole kingdom that has such aura living in the back of the palace grounds. Lord Fong, what are you doing here? The elder's former king. Tone was full of flattery that left no doubt he's in the lower position here. But now, Fong Yufeng was already here in person. If he, the former king and true ruler of the kingdom, doesn't come out to receive him, then it would be considered a form of disrespect. Lord Fong, white in his face, Fu Tianqi, king, was trembling all over. Father, he is the lord of the demon beast sect? What sort of existence was the demon beast sect? One of the de facto leaders of the second-rate powers out there. Even if the four kingdoms joined hands to combat this force, it's still not enough to overcome this huge difference in power. Just as Fong Yufeng wanted to head over to greet the mother and son pair, this upright man was suddenly interrupted by a strange old man getting in front of him. Towards this obstacle, his brows inexplicably furrowed into a knot while his gaze turned cold. Move aside. That voice had no emotions whatsoever, merely an order like someone commanding a servant. Tianqi, the former king, hurries to ask his son, did you provoke the demon beast sect? Otherwise, why would the lord of that power come in person? Making a difficult gulp, Fu Tianqi never looked so horrible in all his life. Father, do you know who is currently stomping on Baoyin? Who? Baoyin. Boom. The elder's head literally went white, unable to think for a good while there. Trembling hard, the former king cannot believe the enchanting figure over there was the mentioned girl. Baoyin, if you got the nerve, then release me. I will tell Lord Fong everything. Beaming with joy at the sight of the upright man, Fu Baoyun instantly regains her courage. Did you prepare your will then? Snickering a smirk, Baoyin was very cold in her attitude. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The demon beast sect is here, for you're only afraid of me spilling the beans on your affairs. That's why you want to silence me before then. Let me tell you, it's useless. Lord Fong is already here in person. That means you are exposed. Oh, how I regret it. Why didn't I just kill her earlier? Why won't you let me say it, brother? If all of you won't let me speak, then I will say it anyways. Carrying blood in her mouth, the abhorrent woman was full of viciousness as she turned towards the lord of the demon beast sect. Lord Fong, I have something I must tell you. There is something you don't know yet. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Before I say more, I want to ask one thing. Is this boy beside that woman your disciple? Stunned for a second there, the upright man first turns to the mentioned pair with amazement in his eyes before turning back to answer. No, he is. Ha ha. Getting the confirmation that she wanted, Fu Baoyun was full of madness in her voice. Have you all heard that? I said it. There's no way such an ignorant child from such a dirty woman can possibly catch the fancy of the demon beast sect. There's no way he could become the young lord. That's right. Even if someone is to be the young lord, it should be my son. What's so good about this B-A-S-T-A-R-D child? Sinking in his expression at being cut off, Fang Yufeng's voice was stone cold there. Of course, Sir Xiachen is not my disciple. I am not qualified to be his Shifu, master. Don't kid around. If I was qualified to be the boy's Shifu, then it would have been I who tamed the GLA. S dragon instead. He's not qualified to be a B-A-S-T-A-R-D child Shifu? What does he mean by that? No longer looking at the foolish person lying there on the floor, Fang Yufeng continues in his steps for Bai Yan's location. But unlike his previous arrogance and disregard for everyone else, that face was rather complacent and full of respect. Miss Bai Yan, us in the Demon Beast sect is willing to submit to your son, Sir Xiachen. Would you be willing to accept us? Besides, if Bai Yan's son can cause the miracle from back then, it can only mean this woman herself was no ordinary person either. What are you doing here? Bai Yan asks, her brow wrinkling into a knot. Smiling at the question, Fang Yufeng was more than pleased to answer that question. The request should have been said back at the Luhua Kingdom, but before the elder of our sect could ask, Miss Bai Yan, you have already left. And as it so happens, our base of operation isn't very far from here, the Qi Xia Kingdom. That's why I came in person after getting the message from the elder. Seeing how quiet Bai Yan was, Fang Yufeng figured he was free to continue. Your ladyship, I know this may be prudent of me, but allow me to help. I know your aunt is currently being harmed by a certain princess of this kingdom, so let me have the honor of dealing with such a woman. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Please come see a good show, one. Casting her gaze down at the one being stomped by her, Bai Yan's enchanting lips then revealed a sinister sneer. No need. She's already under my feet. She's already under my feet, flushing red in utter embarrass. Smint, Fu Tianqi, king, wished with every fiber of his skin that he could knife this stupid woman known as his sister to the grave. But compared to his anger right now, he's rather more astonished and shocked by what he just heard. The Demon Beast sect wants to submit to Bai Yan's son and not take him as their young lord. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. How ridiculous. To think I took everything for granted all because of my wife's words all these years. Closing his eyes, the image of his elder sister's face quickly surfaces within the cowardly man's head. There's horror, pain, but most importantly, disappointment circulating in his mind over his sister's last moment before being knocked out. I'm sorry, sister. His pale face gripped with pain. What is the use of an apology now? Di Xiao Wan, demon princess, cast the cowardly man a contemptible look. If my sister-in-law didn't come in time to get justice, I can't even imagine how miserable you people would have made her aunt be by now. That's right. If Bai Yan weren't here, nor the Demon Beast sect, would this Dong Rochin still show the same amount of regret? Heck, this idiotic man might just continue insulting his own sister under the instigation of his wife. While her husband was finally come to terms with the reality of their situation, Fu Baoyun, on the other hand, continues to go on with her nonsensical rant. Impossible. This can't be. How can a Demon Beast sect submit to your son? He's just a B-A-S-T-A-R-D child that doesn't have a father. Bang. I told you already. If you call my son a B-A-S-T-A-R-D child again, then I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. Sweeping a glance at the ignorant woman who can't understand the situation, Fan Yufeng shakes his head at the ignorance and foolishness portrayed here. Who said Sir Xiaoqun doesn't have a father? His father is the most mysterious person of the Lu Hui kingdom, Lord Song. A year ago, he too had seen Di Song in person, but in front of that man, he could barely keep himself upright without faltering to the floor. That just goes to show the clear distinction in their levels. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Please come see a good show. I not only have a father, I also have many aunts and uncles, lady. An innocent smile becomes of that baby boy's face. On the contrary, it is your daughter and son who will soon become an orphan. You shut up. Fu Baoyun, abhorrent woman, attempts to scream aloud. Unfortunately for her, before that voice could finish crying out, another kick had already stomped down at her mouth to shut the woman up. I see you don't need to say your last will. In response to that dangerous smirk, Fu Baoyun finally knew how to be scared. Shivering there in extreme pain, she quickly turns to her own husband that was nearby. Going stiff in the body, Dong Ruo Qin, cowardly man, subconsciously shifts his head away. However, that line of sight continues to discomfort him from the back regardless. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation Mother. Just then, a wailing voice could be heard coming from the front. Mother, I will save you. I will not let you die. Getting up from the floor, Dongmu Shui, horrible daughter, roars out at Bai Yin and her son. You evil woman, let go of my mother. Boom. Lying there on the ground in utter pain, Dongmu Shui's horrible daughter, very face becomes a twisted mess. Not for her pain, though. It's her hatred and anger. Mu Shui, Dong Ruo Qin's voice was a little shaky there. What are you doing here? You useless thing. You are actually standing idle while mother is being beaten. Spewing fire in those eyes, Dong Mu Shui was unrelenting in her insults. Rather than say it's a daughter speaking to a father, it's more like a victim facing their family's killer. There's so much hatred there. Mu Shui, this matter is, in the end, it's your mother who's in the wrong. Meek in his voice, the cowardly man tries to explain himself. Shut up, Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, roars out in anger. Who allowed you to call me by my name? A useless thing like you. Why won't you go die instead? I don't have such a useless and cowardly father like you. Mother, grasping hard onto his mother's hand, Bai Xiaoqun looks up in earnest before making his comment. Mother, I promise you I will properly discipline my younger sister in the future and not let her become like that person over there. Unable to hold back her laughter at that statement, Bai Yin giggles with delight. Okay, my son, I believe in you. Then does that mean mother is promising to give me a little sister? Did I agree? Raising her finger, Bai Yin curves it into a hook and knocks it down onto the brat's head. If you want a sister, then you should be looking to your auntie. Why? Your auntie's daughter is also your cousin, no different from a sister. Shivering there at the stair, Di Xiao Wan instinctively took a step back. She's ready to cry at this point. Sister-in-law, you can't cheat people like that. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Please come see a good show 3, and, putting on a difficult smile, Di Xiao Wan hurries to change the subject. We better deal with the matter here first. It's more important. Shooting a disgusted look at the person lying there on the floor, old Madame Dong was the first to reply. There's no hesitation in her words. This woman harmed my daughter and caused us so much grievances all these years. I believe it's safe to ace. So I'm speaking for the rest of the Dong house that we have no objections to anything you have in mind. Dong Tian Ling, old Lord Dong, originally wanted to say something there toward his granddaughter, but against those resenting eyes, this old grandpa ended up stuffing it back down. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. She wants to know, what will her aunt's younger brother do even under these circumstances? Will he do the right thing or continue going down this wrong path? Going stiff in his face, the man himself didn't have the nerve to face his daughter, nor the woman asking him the question. He's too ashamed to face anyone right now. Looking at this scene, Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, finally fell into a panic. Struggling to get up, she clings onto her father's leg without letting go. No, You can't ignore my mother. She pleads by gripping the cowardly man's sleeve. If you don't help, then me and mother will die before your very eyes. By then, my brother too will hate you for a lifetime. Dong Ruochin, are you still my father or what? My mother didn't do anything wrong at all. Dong Ruolin was originally a daughter of the Dong's family. Since my mother is the mistress of the family, it's only right that she's permitted to do as she wish with that woman. If you don't help now, then I will die in front of you. STC. Hang a sword from one of the guards. Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, immediately places the sharp weapon next to her neck in idle threat. And due to how much hatred was portrayed in those eyes, even that young, feministic face had distorted to the point where it's scary. Sister-in-law. This time Dong Ruochin shouldn't be so foolish anymore, right? Di Xiao Wan, demon princess, gives a heavy snort, annoyed by the show she's seeing. Auntie, by Xiaochen lightly blinks his big, innocent eyes. There's a saying out there. One's bloodline cannot be ended. He may not care about that abhorrent woman anymore, but he cannot ignore his daughter. No father wouldn't love their own biological daughter, but that's under the premise it's his own blood. Father, mother, my wife did do a lot of wrong, and she became overly pampered as a result of our goodwill and guilt. Even so, Bao Yun is still my children's mother. For your grandchildren's sake, please spare her life this one time. He did not seek permission from Bai Yin. After all, to this man Bai Yin was but his sister's niece. So long as his parents say yes, then what else can a distant relative say? Miss Bai Yin, Fong Yu Feng, sect leader, shakes his head before sighing. Do you need me to handle this for you? Raising a corner of her lips into a scheming smile, Bai Yan's expression was as cunning as a fox. Son, do you want to see a good show later? Is mother going to get payback for Grand Annie? If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Fainted from fright, Fu Tianqi didn't even have the patience to look at the old master by this point. With a sweep of his sleeve, the king directly takes his leave. However, before he could even make it back to the palace ground, a panicking eunuch had stopped him in his track. Ma Mage Majesty. Assassin, there's an assassin. Annoyed by the interference, the king roars out without thinking. Such a small, tiny thing, and you people are still coming to bother me. Scram. Small thing? The eunuch was dumbfounded. An assassination attempt turns into a small thing? Majesty. Seeing the king wouldn't stop at all, the eunuch became so anxious that he actually stomped on the spot like a girl before giving chase. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, Majesty. You can't go there. It's too dangerous. Unfortunately, it's already late. By the time the eunuch was able to catch up to the man himself, the giant dragon was already in perfect view hovering above their heads. Unlike the king, who was completely blown away by the scene, his royal guards were all unfortunate enough to have the first taste of the dragon's strength. As for the glass dragon himself, the big guy was much more relaxed in the air, only giving a disdainful snort at these minuscule ants crawling about. Majesty! Exclaiming at the sight of the king's fainting body, the eunuch was frightfully scared there as he cried for help. Someone come save the king. Just as the eunuch's voice came to an end, another sharp and irritating cry instantly overshadowed it from the front. Brother, save me. Not far away was the demon princess Di Xiao Wan herself, while behind her was the cowardly man dragging his wife along. Unlike the prestigious look from before, Fu Bao Yun was a mess here with scattered hair and rips along her entire wardrobe. So, it's not hard to imagine why she would scream out for help the second the king came into view. Dong Ruochin, you useless thing. How dare you actually help these people? Don't forget, my brother the king is only willing to reuse your family because of me. Otherwise your Dong house would be nothing without me. Against that bombardment of an insult, Dong Ruochin didn't have anything to say in rebuke of his wife. Earlier, when Di Xiao Wan knocked the abhorrent woman out, it was assumed that she wouldn't come to until they reached the palace. Yet, maybe it's just Fu Bao Yun prefers to be tortured and beaten, but she awoke merely minutes after they left the estate. As such, Dong Rochin had no choice but to force his way with his wife by dragging her along. "Brother, you must save me." After getting no response from her husband despite her antics, the abhorrent woman finally had it and ran for her brother's side. By this point, the king was also coming to after the eunuch helped him regain consciousness. At first, he was still stuck in a daze over his surroundings, but that instantly changed when the scattered mess of his sister came into his view. Without a second thought, he sends the abhorrent flying with a ruthless kick of his own. "Get the hell out of here! It's all this blasted woman's fault. If not for her, how can there be so much trouble? If the royal house is destroyed this time, then she will be the greatest sinner." Sprawling there on all four, Fu Baoyun was stunned by the sudden attack. Looking up in shock, her words were a stammering mess. Brother, did you mistake me for someone else? I am your favorite sister, Baoyun. How can my brother kick me? Furthermore, brother clearly intended to reuse the Dong house because of me. Dragon, it was then. No mistake. After hearing the faint, lazy voice coming from his back, the glass dragon immediately issued out a roar at the ants below, his eyes radiating a bloodthirst that made no attempt at hiding his intent to kill, which directly sent the king going numb in the feet. Ew. Are Miss Bayan of the Luhua Kingdom correct? An ugly, huge dragon carrying a stunning red woman, as well as a delicate-looking young child of no older than 5. The answer was self-evident in front of such a combination. Dragon, kill them for me. Acting as if unable to hear that question, Bayan gives out her order using that chilling voice filled with murderous intent. Wait. Wiping that sweat from his forehead, Fu Tianqi, king, hurries to ask with that awkward smile of his. Miss Bayan, is there some sort of misunderstanding between us? Why the need for such a big commotion? This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. There is no misunderstanding. Whoever tries to stop me from taking back my phoenix today will be faced with death. Indifferent in her attitude, the woman's demeanor was tyrannical and overbearing, strangely similar to Di Song's when he demands his way. Phoenix? What phoenix? How come I don't know anything about this? Turning around in great rage, Fu Tianqi roars out at the group of masters coming to protect him. Which of you stole the lady's phoenix? Return at this instant, do you hear me? Exchanging an odd look between themselves, it was a Sky-class master among this group who worked up the courage to speak. Though he was technically speaking, it was still more like a squeamish buzz similar to that of a mosquito. Your Majesty, not long ago we did capture a phoenix at Princess Baoyun's order, but it was in order to tame so she can offer it to you. Boom. Stumbling backwards due to the shocking revelation, Fu Tianqi, king, took quite the effort there in order to not faint to the ground. Even so, what's left on that already ghastly face now was despair and fear. It's over. That idiot Fu Baoyun. It was already bad enough she injured Dong Rulan and tried to force Lan Xiaoyun into becoming a concubine. Now she also captured a phoenix behind everyone's back. How can there be such a stupid person in this world? Why? Why must she be part of the royal household? What are you all still standing there for? Go and release the lady's phoenix this instant. Spewing fire from his eyes, the king was literally screaming in his voice. Despite the direct order, these people only stood there in hesitation because they know what the consequences will be if they freed the fire phoenix. Injured all over from their tortures, it'd be strange if things ends brightly for their side. Every person had their limits, and Bayan's was at hers in terms of patience by this point. Wrinkling her brow, she gives a direct order to the glass dragon. Dragon, flatten the palace. I don't care if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground. I want to see my phoenix by the end of this day. Her son can only give an approximate location of the intended target, meaning she only knows Redzi was somewhere in this area. Otherwise, Bayan wouldn't even bother to waste time here dealing with these fools. And since these people here wouldn't cooperate, her recourse can only be to flatten the entire palace to look brutish and inefficient, but it works. Please wait. Miss Bayan, please give me a minute. I will have your phoenix out here very soon. Scared to the point where his handsome face was now green, Fu Tianqi, king, grew angrier than ever. It seems you people aren't going to obey me today. Fine, I will go call my father, the former king, to order you people instead. Going white in their faces, these masters can only do as told when the king was willing to go that far. There's not a doubt left in these people's mind that it's over today. You people should pray that my phoenix is unharmed. If I find any injury on her, I won't know what sort of things I would do then. Shaking hard inside, the king now realizes the order might not have the best of his choices today. Sadly for him, Fu Baoyun just had to interject herself in this crucial timing after climbing up from the ground. Maybe the abhorrent woman was still stuck in a daze like stayed after being kicked, but her words was no different from adding fuel to a fire. Who dares to take my stuff? So what if that phoenix was taken by me? The creature is but a prize Dong Rulan got after selling her body to another man. I'm telling you now, once it's inside the Dong house, then it's mine. Mine, you hear me? Is brain dead hereditary? Fu Baoyun must have really gone crazy, cursing her own son too. As a descendant of his line, Dong Mu Lin, perverted son, would of course fall in line with that curse too. Sadly, if only Dong Rochin spent a little bit more time musing over this dilemma, then he would have noticed the peculiarity in his wife's statement. A useless garbage is always a garbage. If only my cousin Chi Jia were around then, he never would have allowed them to beat me. The woman's I was steaming with hatred after losing track of that footstep. That's right, only my cousin loves me the most in this world. Back then, he was able to give me away to become another man's wife because he didn't want me to be a lowly concubine. If that's not love, then what else can it be? He did it all for me. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Someone come, help me change. I want to go out. Pa! Without hesitation, Fu Baoyun, abhorrent woman, directly slaps the girl across the face to show her might. What? You really think that man would divorce me? Dream on. So long as I don't accept it, then I will forever be the mistress of this house. Go get my clothes ready, you ignorant wench. Enduring the grievance here, the maid complies. Yes. Aside from having her chest pressed in by Yan's leg, her lips and face too were all swollen or cut. As such, the only recourse here was to cover everything with a veil before she heads out with the maid support. It's already public knowledge. The Flower Brothel, currently the grandest establishment for tomfoolery and womanizing in the Qixia Kingdom, standing at the foot of the main entrance. Fu Baoyun detested what she saw. Why would cousin want to meet me here at the Flower Brothel? And why does the name sound so familiar? Since she couldn't recall why, Fu Baoyun figured it's of no importance and walked in. That's when a highly flaunting woman intercepted her with that alluring face and flashing body. Immediately, disgust filled her eyes. This lady, may I know if you are the young madam of the Dong house? Flapping that provocative fan, the woman swings her hips in the perfect position so the Sing male customers could get a good look at her bottom ace sets and a slight peek at her important bit. You get away from me. Fu Baoyun hurries to take a step back. I am a prestigious person all over. I don't want a filthy woman like you dirtying my purity. You. Flushing red in her face, Fu Baoyun was clearly irritated by the reception. You are but a prost. 1. 2. The brothel. How dare you act so presumptuous in front of me? Just wait. I will have this place flattened in due time. By then I like to see you getting all arrogant again. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Is brain dead hereditary? 3. In truth, it's not Fu Baoyun's fault that she couldn't remember the name of this place. After all, her brother the king only mentioned the Flower Brothel once, and that was under the duress of revealing by Yan's ident. One tie. So what if I am a woman of EX? Far better than those pretentious SLUTs trying to squander around, making a plague of virtue despite not being one. The one you're looking for is on the second floor, VIP room. I still have matters to attend to, so I won't be accompanying you. See. Oh, see. King a scornful sneer, the gorgeous woman went ahead and left the abhorrent woman to her own bidding. Twisted in her face, Fu Baoyun was enraged by the treatment. Nothing but a prost. 1. 2. How dare she look down on me? If I wasn't in such a rush, then I would have made you pay dearly. After waltzing away, the gorgeous lady immediately headed up to the second floor where the constant gasping and moaning voices of a female and a male could be heard echoing out of the VIP room. Raising a smirk at the sound, she didn't delay and immediately entered the room next to this one. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. How did it go? Already inside was Bai Yin and her friends, sitting there sipping away at the tea in their hands. Mistress, she is here. Completely removing the seductive appearance she was portraying earlier, the gorgeous lady was sharp and firm in her words. Well done. Go call the entire Dong family here immediately. Tell them the good show is about to begin. Raising a faint smile, Bai Yin was determined on exacting revenge to those who harmed her aunt. Yes, mistress. Cupping her hand, the gorgeous lady retreats to carry out the command. Alone again, it was Di Xiao who spoke up first, her voice confused. Sister-in-law, what sort of show are you inviting them here to see? In response to the girl's question, Bai Yan's smile only grew darker. You will know later. Oddly enough, Bai Xiachen was rather quiet this time around, totally different from his usual nosy demeanor. Then again, what else can he say when he's stuffing his mouth with the snacks here? Mother, it's so nice that little Rice isn't around. These things are so delicious, and they are all mine. F. Fled by the food. Hardly anyone other than his mother could make out his words. Poor the baby tiger. First he was left behind by the boy. Now he's even unwanted because Bai Xiachen didn't want to share his snacks. At the same time, over in the next room, Qi Jia, secret lover, was currently having a blast with the woman under him. Moving that rod of his in and out of the girl's soaking hole, there was nothing better than to dominate these warehouse yes, in his view, whether it be his main wife or his own cousin who he toys with on occasion. The skills of these professionals are simply fantastic and beyond compare. Sadly for him, before Qi Jia, secret lover, could reach the final climax of epic proportion there, a loud raging roar from the doorway had caused him to lose that critical momentum. Qi Jia, what are you doing? Shivering at the early release, the man was both scared and satisfied at the same. Scared at being caught by a third party, but satisfied that he got to release his payload inside this fleshy doll regardless. What are you doing here? His voice was clearly full of displeasure when speaking to the person in question. Qi Jia, standing there in disbelief. Fu Bao Yun was shaking all over. Is this why you called me here to the flower brothel? To have me watch you go at it with these UTS? Do you even have me in your heart? Do you even care about my feelings? Called her? Qi Jia, secret lover, only wanted to laugh at this woman. It's not the first time Fu Baoyan secretly followed him from behind, and then claimed it was he who called her once caught. As such, it's easy for him to presume the woman was doing it again. All right, enough. Getting up from the mounting position of the woman submitting underneath himself, Qi Jia, secret lover, puts on a gentle smile before speaking to his cousin. Oh, my sweet dearest, you know it too. That tigress back at home is the worst. Though I do have quite a few concubines in my home, but she would never let me touch them. And you wouldn't want me to touch her, would you? I too am a man and needs a channel of release. Red in her eyes due to the tears swelling up, Fu Bao Yin could only bite her lips in frustration. But you still shouldn't. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Is brain dead hereditary? For, at the very least, you shouldn't be humping another woman while I'm coming. Oh, my dear sweetheart, I'm only able to do it because I'm imagining them as you. There's no way I could take another unless it's your body. Slowly coming before the woman, Qi Jia, secret lover, gently caresses that veil while shooting beams of hypnotic seduction at the foolish woman. Oh yes, my sweet. Why are you wearing a veil over your face today? Despite the eyes going cold, Qi Jia's secret lover face remains ever so gentle with that hypnotic smile. In reality, he would have tossed aside this woman years ago. She wasn't still of use. Absolutely. So long it's you, then of course I would help. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, as if regaining her backbone. Fu Baoyun immediately replayed the events of today while putting on a heart-wrenching act like she's been betrayed and sullied by those closest to her. Cousin, I was almost killed by that bee. Yet the coward still wants to divorce me. It's a blessing in of itself that I married him. Based on what can he divorce me? Yes, that confirmation was said through grits and stones for the woman. Oh, my sweet. Let me deal with her then. I'm most adept at dealing with people like her. Raising a glorious smile, this disgusting SCU, M of a person was a shameless piece of S. T like the woman here. Since she never married when having her child, it can only mean she must have endured an endless amount of scorn from the world. Furthermore, as if there would be any man willing to take a B, S, T, or D child as their own, so long as I give her some care and love, then it's a given that Bai Yin would fall heads over heels for me. Don't some just because this man named Qi Jia was old that he wouldn't be able to charm the opposite His looks are fantastic for someone that's a middle age. That's also the main reason why he's so confident that he's able to woo the girl over. Growing colder in his face at that reb. You, T-Tao, if you don't want your brother the king to keep giving you the cold shoulders, then this is the only way. But, Bai Yan's side still have a girl there. She keeps calling her sister-in-law. But have you ever seen her husband? Asked the man with those sneering lips. In response, Fu Baiyin could only shake her head in denial. By then, even the young lord of the demon beast sect would be my son, whether it be the tigress back at home or this stupid woman here. None can get in my way anymore, and the price is merely a tactical flattery of the B-S-T-A-R-D boy, ha-ha. Though the walls of the rooms here are all soundproof in design, but that doesn't mean it applies to those who are superior to the norm. For people like Di Wan and Bai Yin who are at a superior level, nothing can escape their ears at such close proximity in the next room. Caressing her chin as if thinking something, Bai Yin was rather perplexed in her reply. I don't know about those two next door, but I think I can explain why Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, is so stupid up there in the head. How so? The baby boy blinks his big blue eyes in confusion, curious to the answer. Coupling between relatives are bound to produce flawed children. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Reveal the true face one, turning her head in a somewhat disbelieving fashion. Di Wan was popping her big, beautiful eyes. Sister-in-law. What do you mean? Are you saying Dong Mu Shui isn't of Dong Rochin's blood? COC. King a devilish smile, Bai Yin was non-committal here. Just wait and see. You don't need to say anything or do anything. There is nothing covering that divine body. Sadly, it's marred by the purplish bruises caused by the man that was mounting her only minutes ago. Otherwise, it would have been impeccable. Looking back over to his little plaything there, Qi Jia was ready to do as requested, only to stop partway when he met those pitiful eyes. As the old saying goes, no man can escape the cry of a true beauty, which was why his very heart was a mushy goop of mess after being melted. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Bao Yun, the girls of the flower brothel are very tight-lipped, so you need not worry. Whatever they hear will not leave this room. Without a second thought, a murderous intent had gripped the abhorrent woman's pupil. You want to seduce my man? Fine, I will make sure you not make it to see another day. Cousin, gnashing her teeth, Fu Bao Yin can only endure this for now. You can really make Bai Yin take the bait? What if you abandon me after taking her? By then, what am I supposed to do? He's never seen that dirty woman's face yet. If he did, he might really fall for her and give up on me. Falling into a panic, Fu Bao Yin didn't expect her man to reveal such a big secret in front of third party. After a good minute of this, she finally settled her nerves. I knew it. Only you would hold me and our children apart. That stupid good-for-nothing Dong Rochin is such a useless fool. Even after our son was beaten and bullied, he could still remain indifferent and even forced our daughter to threaten him with her life. Just recalling the weak attitude of her husband would make Fu Bao Yun gnash her teeth in anger. Don't you agree, cousin? How could there be such a person in this world? Good thing our children isn't his. Otherwise, Mu Shui and Mu Lin would be stuck having a good-for-nothing like him as a father. Others may not know about Fu Tianqi's King attitude toward Fu Bao Yun, but he sure does since he's technically a relative of the royal family. That reason alone was enough to kill off any idea of him taking this woman as his concubine. Not only that, he also specifically chose Dong Rochin to marry his woman here because of how stupid the man was. It's easier to manipulate both ends easily from the shadow if the puppets are stupid. Meanwhile, outside of the VIP room, Dong Rochin was currently standing there like a statue after being struck by lightning. His whole head was a blank due to how explosive the information was to his ear. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Reveal the true face, too. Clenching his chest with all his might, Dong Rochin, cowardly man, only felt like he's suffocating there, making it extremely difficult for him to breathe. Yet, despite all of this, it was the cowardly man's own father who took the initiative before the son himself, first handing the old madam over to their daughter Dong Rolan. And, due to the grandma fainting away at the shocking revelation, the old grandpa was furious as he whammed open the door with a giant kick. Boom! What are you all doing here? How much did these people hear? And what if the secret is known? No, it can't. They must have only just arrived. It's impossible for them to hear that much detail. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, shuddering there with his eyes closed. Dong Rochin truly regrets it now. In fact, the guilt was so strong that he didn't even have the strength to speak at this point. So this is the woman I felt guilty over all these years, endured for all these years. For her, not only did I hurt my parents' heart, I also destroyed the bond between my sister and I who cherished me since childhood. How laughable. What a laughable outcome. How dare you? Dong Tianling's, old lord, complexion was as dark as it can be when he roared out, Fu Bao Yun, my family has never been bad to you, yet you would return our goodwill with such disgrace. Not only did you go behind my son's back and cheat on him with another man, you also had the audacity to make us raise your illegitimate children for so many years. As if being struck by lightning, the abhorrent finally blanked out from shock. They really heard it all? The main reason why Fu Bao Yun would dare be so unscrupulous all these years was not due to her status as a princess. Nay, not after today's incident anyways. It has much to do with the lie that she claims to have given birth to the next generation of the Dong house. But to have the truth pulled out to the forefront where her son and daughter meant nothing in reality, it's equivalent to destroying the last ounce of bargaining chip she had. This is your good wife. Finally recovering from her fainting state, old Madame Dong's first order of business wasn't to chase after the source of their misfortune. Rather, it's at her own son. For this woman, you not only force your sister to endure injustice after injustice, now you also raised a set of illegitimate children as your own. Illegitimate children. These two words were like needles puncturing into Dong Rochin's cowardly man heart, opening up thousands of holes there without remorse. And what about it? Since things have come to light, Fu Baoyan no longer wanted to argue about it. Gnashing her teeth, that tone carried not an ounce of guilt. You think you would be qualified to marry me if I wasn't pregnant back then? You may have already known about the truth, but to hear it from the woman's mouth firsthand, it's undeniably still very painful, like someone just slapped him across the face. It stings so much that he had to gasp hard in order to control his emotions. Thinking back on their first time, Dong Rochin now realizes how foolish he has been. He was chugged until he was drunk. By the time he awoke the next morning, nothing had remained of that night. Not the memory of them doing it, nor the bedsheet of the supposed red stain that should have been there. So it was all a sham from the start. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Please come see a good show, one. Casting her gaze down to the one being stomped by her, by Yan's enchanting lips then revealed a sinister sneer. No need. She's already under my feet. She's already under my feet, startled by the revelation. Feng Yufeng gazes down at the ashen-faced woman there on the floor, his eyes quipped with a pang of surprise. She's that princess? To think the Qixia kingdom isn't destroyed, yet with such a person in their fray. Flushing red in utter embarrassment, Fu Tianqi, king, wished with every fiber of his skin that he could knife this stupid woman known as his sister to the grave. But compared to his anger right now, he's rather more astonished and shocked by what he just heard. The demon beast sect wants to submit to Bai Yan's son and not take him as their young lord? Like the king, Dong Ro-chin, cowardly man, was also full of fear and horror, a complete turnaround from his initial shock. He finally understands now. The king didn't have a change of attitude because of his wife. Rather, it's his sister Dong Rulan who caused it. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. How ridiculous. To think I took everything for granted all because of my wife's words all these years. Closing his eyes, the image of his elder sister's face quickly surfaces within the cowardly man's head. There's horror, pain, but most importantly, disappointment circulating in his mind over his sister's last moment before being knocked out. I'm sorry, sister. His pale face gripped with pain. In truth, the former him also hated his own sister back then. His wife Fu Baoyun already married him without hesitation, thus rousing all forms of ridicule from everyone as a result of their family's background. Such a huge debt, he assumed it's only proper that they at least try to repay some of that generosity. That was his thought anyways. What is the use of an apology now? Di Xiao Wan, demon princess, cast the cowardly man a contemptible look. If my sister-in-law didn't come in time to get justice, I can't even imagine how miserable you people would have made her aunt be by now. That's right, if Bai Yin weren't here, nor the demon beast sect, would this Dong Ro-chin still show the same amount of regret? Heck, this idiotic man might just continue insulting his own sister under the instigation of his wife. In response to that admonishment, Dong Ro-chin had nothing to say in rebuke. The only thing he can do was to tightly lower his head in deep regret. While her husband was finally come to terms with the reality of their situation, Fu Baoyun, on the other hand, continues to go on with her nonsensical rant. Impossible! This can't be. How can the demon beast sect submit to your son? He's just a bastard child that doesn't have a father. Bang! Merciless in her action, Bai Yin makes another stomp down at the abhorrent woman's chest, thus causing Fu Baoyun to spurt out another mouthful of blood in the process. I told you already, if you call my son a bastard child again, then I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. Sweeping a glance at the ignorant woman who can't understand the situation, Fan Yufeng shakes his head at the ignorance and foolishness portrayed here. Who said Sir Xiachen doesn't have a father? His father is the most mysterious person of the Lu Hui kingdom, Lord Song. A year ago, he too had seen Di Song in person, but in front of that man, he could barely keep himself upright without faltering to the floor. That just goes to show the clear distinction in their levels. Reveal the true face, for what beauty! This truly is a woman capable of eclipsing all others in this world. Shame, though, she's already sullied by another man and even gave birth to a son. Smooth in her motions, there's not an ounce of awkwardness in her swaying hips as she walked over. Servant Snow greets mistress and the young lord. Mistress? Chi Jia, secret lover, was utterly shocked by the news. Popping his eyes, he almost couldn't believe the owner of the flower brothel was in fact Bai Yin, the target of his disgusting plot. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, that's to say, everything today was in fact a conspiracy coined by this woman. The main purpose only to show Dong Ro-chin the true face of his wife. You are the mistress of the flower brothel. Trembling in her lips, the abhorrent woman finally recalled where he heard the name from. At the time when her brother the king mentioned Bai Yan's background, she did hear something about the woman being the owner of the flower brothel. However, due to her own mindset being narrowed in on the demon beast sect, she had ignored that crucial segment from her memories. No wonder you would get yourself pregnant before marriage, to own a brothel of all places. I'm betting your child, too, is the product of your nightly customers. Cynical in her words, Fu Baoyun attempts to elevate her own standing while downgrading her foes at the same time. Others may not know this, but he sure does. What brothel? That's nothing but a screen on the surface to hide the establishment's true purpose, an intelligence-gathering agency. Compared to the royal families of the various kingdoms, this flower brothel wouldn't lose out in any way. Therefore, it's not that surprising for Chi Jia that his secret with Fu Baoyun would be known. It's not like he's been actively keeping it a total secret at every turn. In response to this, her aunt instinctively stiffened there, that face struggling on whether or not she should be happy or sad at the outcome. It's undeniable that she's been suffering as a result of Fu Bao Yun's tyrannical doings over the years. But to have her own brother be thrust into the abyss, Dong Ruolan just can't bear knowing it's her who's the cause. Nevertheless, what must come will eventually come. Raising a faint smile from her face, Dong Ruolan was rather firm in her words. Yes, my dear, I am very satisfied with this show. Anyone would have a temper. Not to mention, she's just a regular woman who wanted nothing but good for her family. Now that a hole to vent her frustration was here, how could she not take it, especially when the target of her ire was such a horrific person? Furthermore, this time it wasn't just herself, it was Fu Bao Yun's abhorrent woman. Target, her very daughter Lan Xiaoyan, almost became a victim too. As a mother, how can she stay idle anymore? This whole show was meant for Dong Ruolan to begin with. So long as the woman herself was pleased, then no one else mattered in this. Thank you. Emotional in her voice, Dong Ruolan never thought this day would come, the day of her vengeance. And it was all at the hands of her own niece too. Despite the knowledge that she herself wasn't a genuine daughter of Lan Yue, Bai Yin nevertheless holds those close to her adopted mother as her own. They're all she have now, aside from her own son and Shifus back in the Holy Land. However nice that thought was, Bai Yin apparently seems to have forgotten someone important here. It's Di Xiaowan who was terribly saddened by the omission. I'm also sister-in-law's family. Why did she forget me only? Mu Shui, we're leaving. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Please come see a good show. 3. And, putting on a difficult smile, Di Xiaowan hurries to change the subject. We better deal with the matter here first. It's more important. Understanding that tone, Bai Yin slowly turns to face the Dong elders. She wants to get their opinion on this before she begins. So what plans do your family have? Or are you okay with me taking over? Shooting a disgusted look at the person lying there on the floor, old Madame Dong was the first to reply. There's no hesitation in her words. This woman harmed my daughter and caused us so much grievances all these years. I believe it's safe to assume, I'm speaking for the rest of the Dong house, that we have no objections to anything you have in mind. Dong Tianling, old Lord Dong, originally wanted to say something there towards his granddaughter, but against those resenting eyes, this old grandpa ended up stuffing it back down. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. What about you? Bai Yin shifts her gaze over to Dong Ruoqin, cowardly man, this time. She wants to know, what will her aunt's younger brother do, even under these circumstances? Will he do the right thing, or continue going down this wrong path? Going stiff in his face, the man himself didn't have the nerve to face his daughter, nor the woman asking him the question. He's too ashamed to face anyone right now. Looking at this scene, Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, finally fell into a panic. Struggling to get up, she clings onto her father's leg without letting go. No, you can't ignore my mother. She pleads by gripping the cowardly man's sleeve. If you don't help, then me and mother will die before your very eyes. By then, my brother too will hate you for a lifetime. Going ashen at that threat, Mu Shui, Dong Ruoqin, are you still my father or what? My mother didn't do anything wrong at all. Dong Ruolan was originally a daughter of the Dong's family. Since my mother is the mistress of the family, it's only right that she's permitted to do as she wish with that woman. If you don't help now, then I will die in front of you. Snatching a sword from one of the guards, Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, immediately places the sharp weapon next to her neck in idle threat. And due to how much hatred was portrayed in those eyes, even that young feministic face had distorted to the point where it's scary. Annoyed by this, Bai Yan's pressure on her captive only got harder. As a result, Fu Bao Yun's pain instantly increased to the level where froth started to gurgle out of those blood-ridden lips. Sister-in-law, this time Dong Ruoqin, shouldn't be so foolish anymore, right? Di Xiaowan, demon princess, gives a heavy snort, annoyed by the show she's seeing. Auntie, Bai Xiaoqin lightly blinks his big, innocent eyes. There's a saying out there. One's bloodline cannot be ended. He may not care about that abhorrent woman anymore, but he cannot ignore his daughter. No father wouldn't love their own biological daughter, but that's under the premise it's his own blood. Sure enough, Dong Ruo-chin's resolute face started to sway. In front of that tear-swelling daughter of his, the cowardly man eventually crumbles and kneeled before his parents. Father, mother, my wife did do a lot of wrong, and she became overly pampered as a result of our goodwill and guilt. Even so, Bao Yun is still my children's mother. For your grandchildren's sake, please spare her life this one time. He did not seek permission from Bai Yin. After all, to this man Bai Yin was but his sister's niece. So long as his parents say yes, then what else can a distant relative say? Miss Bai Yin, Fan Yufeng, sect leader, shakes his head before sighing. Do you need me to handle this for you? Raising a corner of her lips into a scheming smile, Bai Yan's expression was as cunning as a fox. Son, do you want to see a good show later? Her mind kept thinking back to the report brought up by the members of the flower brothel station here in the Qixia Kingdom. Is mother going to get payback for Grandauntie? Please come see a good show, for Bai Shaochen certainly knows what his mother's intent was, so he naturally didn't object to the idea. All of you people can just wait for the show, Bai Yin proclaims, ignoring whether or not those present were interested. The one to hurt her Aunt Dong Ruolin the most wasn't Fu Bao Yun. It's her younger brother whom she cared for since childhood. Therefore, it's not enough to simply make the person repent. She must have regret for the rest of his life. Miss Bai Yin, Dong Tianling became hesitant to face that reddish figure. He wanted to speak on his son's behalf. After all, he's a father too. Sadly, against that cold and indifferent face, no words could be said. He did promise at first that he wouldn't interfere. You want to plead for them? Bai Yan's expression just got colder. Have you forgotten the pain they inflicted on my aunt? If Xiaoyun, girl cousin, didn't call for me, do you think your daughter would have lived? This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. From the surface, Dong Roland's injury may seem superficial, but in actual fact, it can become fatal or life-changing if the treatment gets prolonged. Going stiff in the face over that questioning, Dong Tianling, Lord Dong, could only issue out a sigh. Forget it, just assume I never said a thing. At the end of the day, Dong Mulin, horrible son, and Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, not only looked down upon their own father, but the entire Dong house too. As a result, the affection towards this pair of siblings were very thin and light for this grandpa, hardly worthy to be called a close bond. Furthermore, he's already made his daughter suffer for so many years. How can he as a father continue on with this wrong path after learning the truth? He can't. Grandfather. Dong Mu Shui widened her eyes in disbelief. Biting those lips in a panic, she turns back to her own father. Grandfather loves you the most. If he still won't agree to help, then use your life to force him. Getting a slight shiver at the last part, Dong Ruo-chin almost couldn't believe what he just heard from his own daughter. Facing that twisted face, daughter, do you know what you were saying? I don't care. It's more than worth it to use your lowly life to exchange for my mother's life. If he still won't agree, then you are to self-mutilate. I won't believe you won't intervene by then when your life's on the line. The girl's face was already a twisted mess to begin with, enough to frighten the youngest of children now. Even the adults are having trouble matching that face with someone worthy to be called a human. It's utterly frightening in how crazed, ridden those eyes were. Closing his eyes at that sort of display by his own flesh and blood, Dong Ruo-chin painfully turns back to his own parents. Father, mother, please forgive my unfilial behavior. The both of you can abandon your grandchildren for sister. Therefore, I too can abandon the Dong house for my children. His voice was shaking all over, as if every word had exhausted the life out of his body. Mu Shui is my own flesh and blood, my own daughter. No matter what wrong she's done, I can't just turn away without getting involved. Mother, father, if the both of you must punish my wife, then I too can only follow suit with my family and head to the afterlife together. Old Madame Dong was infuriated to the point where even her own fingers were shaking there. However, before the old grandma could utter another word, she had lost consciousness with her eyes rolled over. Knowing he's the source of this, Dong Ruo-chin's head only got lower and lower. He didn't have the courage to go help support his mother there. Nor did he have the courage to face the infuriated eyes of his own father. I will give you another chance. Are you sure you want to help Fu Bao Yun and this thing you call your daughter? You won't regret it? Just as the cowardly man was about to cave under the pressuring gazes from all sides, this soft and mellowing voice suddenly chimed in and gave him light. I won't regret it. Biting his lips, Dong Rochin was surprisingly firm in his words. Towards the foolish man's answer, Bai Yin can no longer hold back her emotions. She literally broke out into a laughing fit. Not in mockery, though, but in pain for her own Aunt Dong Rolan. So it's like that. Towards that unrestrained laughter, Di Xiao Wan, Demon Princess, was literally gawking her eyes there because this would be the first time where she herself was fascinated by the same sex. No wonder my big brother is so attached to sister-in-law. I almost lost it there, too. All right, remember the words you said today, issuing out a faint sigh. I hope when the time comes, you really won't regret it. It's good that she likes it, one. Miss Bai Yin, swinging around with his foul attempt at winning the girl, Qi Jia, secret lover, pulls out all the stops with that smile. No matter what, Fu Bao Yun is still my cousin, so I would have to take a certain amount of responsibility for not educating her properly. Why not let me be the host and treat you to a dinner? How about it? Hooking that finger of hers, the woman was rather provocative there in that action, which directly sent the B.S.T.R.D. into an exalted glee. I just knew it. No woman can resist my temptations in this world, much less a dirty woman who's not even clean and got pregnant before marriage. Showing a smile that he summed was extremely handsome, Qi Jia begins to draw closer to Bai Yan's side. Miss Bai Yan sure is understanding. Boom. Before the man's sentence could even come to an end, the woman in front had already sent a merciless kick up into his crotch. Squatting there, he squeals in horrific pain like the very soul inside was ripped out of his body. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Then, as if that wasn't enough, Bai Yin follows up with another side kick to the face, sending the B.S.T.R.D. flying across the room until he slams straight into the wall like splattering goop. In that instant, silence grips the room. Did you not say you were most skilled at dealing with a woman like me? Showering a sinister grin, Bai Yin encroaches upon the heavily traumatized man. In turn, Qi Jia only had horror left in his eyes. Shivering there, he almost couldn't keep himself from urinating his pants due to the intense fear convulsing within his heart. Did you not say that so long as you don't discriminate against me, then I will fall madly in love with you? Though her words were but a whisper, the chilling danger mixed in there cannot be mistaken. Holding the man in contempt with that sneer, Bai Yin continues to toy with him. I can give you another chance. So tell me, how do you want to deal with me? No. In his panic, Qi Jia completely ignores the stinging pain on his manhood and crawls to his knees. Despite that twisted face, he repeatedly bangs his head against the floorboard in an attempt to save himself. Miss Bai Yin, I know I am wrong. Please have mercy. I won't do anything like this again in the future. Before anyone knew it, the once proud face of the man had devolved into a lowly dog that could only plea for his life. As for his accomplice Fu Bao Yun, she was completely lost for words. Meekly lying there on the ground, this abhorrent woman could do nothing but eye her lover with sadness and sorrow. She's simply too disappointed by that picture. Dong Ruochin may have been the perfect description of a coward, but whenever it involves his children and wife, he had never begged for mercy. The polar opposite of the one his wife chose over him. What's more, he's even willing to throw away his own life under the pressure of Mu Shui. Can this Qi Jia do the same? Why can't this be the demon realm? I would have ordered someone to stomp this B.S.T.A.R.D. into pieces. Xiaowan, take him too. We will head to back first. But just as Bai Yin was finished here, she seems to have recalled another important bit that had slipped her mind until now. Wrinkling that gorgeous brow, son, do you know where Chu Yi, Holy Land Princess, went? I haven't seen her all day today. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Is brain dead hereditary? Fu Baoyan must have really gone crazy, cursing her own son too. As a descendant of his line, Dong Mu Lin, perverted son, would of course fall in line with that curse too. Sadly, if only Dong Ruoqin spent a little bit more time musing over this dilemma, then he would have noticed the peculiarity in his wife's statement. Without further hesitation, this cowardly man's figure soon disappeared from sight, leaving behind the steaming Fu Bao Yun and a maid in the background. A useless garbage is always a garbage. If only my cousin Qi Jiao were around then, he never would have allowed them to beat me. The woman's I was steaming with hatred after losing track of that footstep. That's right, only my cousin loves me the most in this world. Back then, he was able to give me away to become another man's wife because he didn't want me to be a lowly concubine. If that's not love, then what else can it be? He did it all for me. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Someone come, help me change. I want to go out. Your ladyship, the maid indifferently spoke up. Your injury isn't healed yet. If you go out in your condition. Huh. Without hesitation, Fu Bao Yun, abhorrent woman, directly slaps the girl across the face to show her might. What? You really think that man would divorce me? Dream on. So long as I don't accept it, then I will forever be the mistress of this house. Go get my clothes ready, you ignorant wench. Enduring the grievance here, the maid complies, yes. Aside from having her chest pressed in by Yan's leg, her lips and face too were all swollen or cut. As such, the only recourse here was to cover everything with a veil before she heads out with the maid support. As for Dong Ruoqin, that person was of no consequence. There's been no shortages of herself meeting her cousin Qi Jia alone over the years. For that reason, Fu Bao Yun had no qualms about what she's doing right now. It's already public knowledge. The Flower Brothel, currently the grandest establishment for tomfoolery and womanizing in the Qixia Kingdom, standing at the foot of the main entrance. Fu Bao Yun detested what she saw. Why would cousin want to meet me here at the Flower Brothel? And why does the name sound so familiar? She have always been eager to enjoy the nice things in life. Therefore, it's only normal she would be oblivious to the various forces out there. In fact, the only reason she even knows about the Demon Bee sect was due to her own father mentioning it to her during one of their conversations. Since she couldn't recall why, Fu Bao Yun figured it's of no importance and walked in. That's when a highly flaunting woman intercepted her with that alluring face and flashing body. Immediately, disgust filled her eyes. This lady, may I know if you are the young madam of the Dong House? Flapping that provocative fan, the woman swings her hips in the perfect position so the passing male customers could get a good look at her bottom assets and a slight peek at her important bit. You get away from me. Fu Bao Yun hurries to take a step back. I am a prestigious person all over. I don't want a filthy woman like you dirtying my purity. Flashing a glimmer of frost in her eyes, the gorgeous woman continues to show off her glorious smile like that insult didn't occur. I am merely here to bring you to Sir Qi Jia. If you're not interested then, so be it. Someone come. See this lady out the door. You. Flushing red in her face, Fu Bao Yun was clearly irritated by the reception. You are but a prostitute of the brothel. How dare you act so presumptuous in front of me? Just wait, I will have this place flattened in due time. By then I like to see you getting all arrogant again. The real SCUM of all people when ruling. Knowing what her daughter-in-law was thinking, old Madame Lan was the first to intercept the considerate woman, gently rubbing Dong Roland's hand. Your father's body has long been cured. You don't have to worry about him. Rather, it's you we're most worried about. If we didn't come today to support you, then others might really think our family doesn't care about you. Grandpa, Grandma, puffing up her cheeks, Lan Xiaoyan, girl cousin, promptly comes forward to snitch to her elders. You don't even know it yet. This horrible woman not only harmed Mother, she even switched the medicine that was meant for her for a fake. Then, as if that wasn't enough, she even persecuted me for trying to refuse the idea of her marrying me off to that whatever third prince of this kingdom. Oh yes, grandfather, she also took advantage of our absence and kidnapped Redzi. And, choking on her words, the girl pauses to glance at Bai Yan before speaking again. If not for cousin coming in the nick of time with me, I fear both of you would have never been able to see Mother again. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, scared to the point where his heart was thumping hard. Old Lord Lon was dreadfully white at the fate that could have befallen his family member. Son, it was then Bai Yin signaled the baby with a wink. Understanding his mother's intent, Bai Xiaochen needed no urging to move forward. Toddling over with his little feet, he gently stroked the old grandpa's chest to soothe the man's unstable emotion. Grandfather, don't be so angry. Mother said those who do bad things will eventually face retribution, so there's no need for you to push your body because of those evildoers. Perhaps it's the soft, comforting voice of the little steam bun, or maybe something else entirely, but it sure did the trick here. Snapping the chair handle apart, the old grandpa reverts back to his solemnly stern self. My daughter-in-law faced such maltreatment at your home. Shouldn't the Dong house give me a proper answer for this? Answering that demand with a weak smile, old Lord Dong couldn't refute the claim. Yes, I can't deny it's our family in the wrong here. I couldn't protect Rulan, so here's the perpetrator. Whatever you want to do with Fu Bao Yun is up to your lawn house now. Destroy her cultivation and then toss her into the demon beast forest. She can fend for herself there. Stricken with fear in her eyes, Fu Bao Yun literally screamed out of panic there. No, I don't want to go to the demon beast forest. I don't want to be a cripple. Even if her strength remains intact, the outcome would be the same if she were to be tossed into that forest. Not to mention they intend to destroy her cultivation too. That's equivalent to a death sentence. Would both in-laws have any objection to my punishment? Despite his sentence sounding like a question, old Lord Lon wasn't exactly expecting a refusal from the elders of the Dong house. Sure enough, old Lord Dong matches the other elder with a supportive smile. As per your wish, I got no opinion on this matter. No. Scrambling up from the ground like the frantic mess that she was, Fu Bao Yun pounced in front of her husband and refused to let go of that leg. Ro Qin, no matter what we're husband and wife, out of consideration for all the years we were together, please save me. Ro Qin, I know I did wrong to your sister, but isn't she just fine right now? You can't do this to me. You people can't take my life for this. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Is brain dead hereditary? For, at the very least, you shouldn't be humping another woman while I'm coming. Oh, my dearest sweetheart, I'm only able to do it because I'm imagining them as you. There's no way I could take another unless it's your body. Slowly coming before the woman, Chi Jia, secret lover, gently caresses that veil while shooting beams of hypnotic seduction at the foolish woman. Oh yes, my sweet. Why are you wearing a veil over your face today? Seeing how her cousin's about to take off the cover, Fu Bao Yun hurries to step back out of panic. Tearful there, she urgently protests to her lover. My love, you must help me this time. If you don't, then no one else can. Despite the eyes going cold, Chi Jia's secret lover face remains ever so gentle with that hypnotic smile. In reality, he would have tossed aside this woman years ago. She wasn't still of use. Absolutely. So long it's you, then of course I would help. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, as if regaining her backbone. Fu Baoyun immediately replayed the events of today while putting on a heart-wrenching act like she's been betrayed and sullied by those closest to her. Cousin, I was almost killed by that bitch, yet the coward still wants to divorce me. It's a blessing in of itself that I married him. Based on what can he divorce me? Chi Jia was silent there while a pang of sinister light quickly overtook those eyes. That Bayan she really got pregnant before marriage? And that the demon beast sect intends to submit to her son? Yes, that confirmation was said through grits and stones for the woman. Oh, my sweet, let me deal with her then. I'm most adept at dealing with people like her. Raising a glorious smile, this disgusting scum of a person was a shameless piece of shit like the woman here. Since she never married when having her child, it can only mean she must have endured an endless amount of scorn from the world. Furthermore, as if there would be any man willing to take a bastard child as their own. So long as I give her some care and love, then it's a given that Bai Yin would fall heads over heels for me. Don't assume just because this man named Chi Jia was old that he wouldn't be able to charm the opposite sex. His looks are fantastic for someone that's a middle age. That's also the main reason why he's so confident that he's able to woo the girl over. What? Fu Baoyun literally screamed in horror. You want to seduce her? No, absolutely not. She's already treating me like so. Now you want to love her? Growing colder in his face at that rebuttal. If you don't want your brother the king to keep giving you the cold shoulders, then this is the only way. But, Bai Yan's side still have a girl there. She keeps calling her sister-in-law. But have you ever seen her husband? Asked the man with those sneering lips. In response, Fu Baiyun could only shake her head in denial. Then that's right, going sharp in his words, she never got married when having that son of hers. In order to salvage her reputation, she must have hired the girl to act as cover because she couldn't get a man to take her. When the time comes, so long as I don't dislike her, then surely she would bring her son along and marry me. By then, even the young lord of the demon beast sect would be my son, whether it be the tigress back at home or this stupid woman here. None can get in my way anymore. And the price is merely a tactical flattery of the bastard boy. Though the walls of the rooms here are all soundproof in design, but that doesn't mean it applies to those who are superior to the norm. For people like Di Wan and Bai Yin who are at a superior level, nothing can escape their ears at such close proximity in the next room. Mother, Bai Xiaoqin couldn't resist taking another bite from his snacks before asking, is being brain dead a hereditary illness? Caressing her chin as if thinking something, Bai Yin was rather perplexed in her reply. I don't know about those two next door, but I think I can explain why Dong Mu Shui, horrible daughter, is so stupid up there in the head. How so? The baby boy blinks his big blue eyes in confusion, curious to the answer. Coupling between relatives are bound to produce flawed children. Reveal the true face, one. Turning her head in a somewhat disbelieving fashion, Di Wan was popping her big, beautiful eyes. Sister-in-law. What do you mean? Are you saying Dong Mu Shui isn't of Dong Roqin's blood? Cocking a devilish smile, Bai Yin was non-committal here. Just wait and see. You don't need to say anything or do anything. Back in the VIP room, Fu Baoyun continues to eye the naked woman lying there on the bed, her voice growing ever so cold. Cousin, have that woman leave us first. I have something I need to say to you. There was nothing covering that divine body. Sadly, it's marred by the purplish bruises caused by the man that was mounting her only minutes ago. Otherwise, it would have been impeccable. Looking back over to his little plaything there, Qi Jia was ready to do as requested, only to stop partway when he met those pitiful eyes. As the old saying goes, no man can escape the cry of a true beauty, which was why his very heart was a mushy goop of mess after being melted. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Baoyun, the girls of the flower brothel are very tight-lipped, so you need not worry. Whatever they hear will not leave this room. Aching in her chest at the insufferable denial, Fu Baoyun doesn't believe a prostitute could have any form of integrity. To her, it can only be that the slut over there had seduced his dearest cousin. That's why he's losing his way. Without a second thought, a murderous intent had gripped the abhorrent woman's pupil. You want to seduce my man? Fine. I will make sure you not make it to see another day. Cousin. Gnashing her teeth, Fu Baoyun can only endure this for now. You can really make Bai Yin take the bait? What if you abandon me after taking her? By then, what am I supposed to do? He's never seen that dirty woman's face yet. If he did, he might really fall for her and give up on me. Nothing but a woman who got pregnant before marriage. How can a dirty slut like that win my heart? Sneering in his lips, Qi Jia was so full of himself. I am merely doing this for our children, for Mu Shui and Mu Lin's sake. Falling into a panic, Fu Baoyun didn't expect her man to reveal such a big secret in front of a third party. After a good minute of this, she finally settled her nerves. I knew it. Only you would hold me and our children apart. That stupid good-for-nothing Dong Roqin is such a useless fool. Even after our son was beaten and bullied, he could still remain indifferent and even forced our daughter to threaten him with her life. Just recalling the weak attitude of her husband would make Fu Baoyun gnash her teeth in anger. Don't you agree, cousin? How could there be such a person in this world? Good thing our children isn't his. Otherwise, Mu Shui and Mu Lin would be stuck having a good-for-nothing like him as a father. Dong Ruoqin is indeed really stupid. He raised another man's son and daughter for so many years, yet he believes it's his own. If nothing drastic happens, it's a certainty that the Dong house would become my son's. Others may not know about Fu Tianqi's king attitude toward Fu Baoyun, but he sure does since he's technically a relative of the royal family. That reason alone was enough to kill off any idea of him taking this woman as his concubine. Not only that, he also specifically chose Dong Roqin to marry his woman here because of how stupid the man was. It's easier to manipulate both ends easily from the shadow if the puppets are stupid. Meanwhile, outside of the VIP room, Dong Roqin was currently standing there like a statue after being struck by lightning. His whole head was a blank due to how explosive the information was to his ear. Dong Ruoqin is indeed really stupid. He raised another man's son and daughter for so many years, yet he believes it's his own. If nothing drastic happens, it's a certainty that the Dong house would become my son's. These are the only words echoing across the dazed-out man here. Father Chu Yifeng 1, effectively older by a decade after that, Dong Tianling, Old Lord Dong, was literally quivering in his lips due to how bitterly sad he felt. If you had the foresight to see this outcome, then why did you do that back then? You, kneel before your sister and admit you're wrong first. Yes, father. Turning around, the cowardly man slowly came before his sister and squats down to the ground. Sister, I know that you won't forgive me. I was obsessed and lost my ways, forgetting all the good that you gave me. If life has a second chance, I swear I won't ever fail you again. Through the heavy banging of his head, blood begins to ooze out of his forehead due to the impacting blows. Then, after 10 repeated kowtows, he finally got up and revealed a calm smile that was dishearteningly painful to watch. Sister, you have a good niece. Snorting at that comment, Old Lord Lon immediately TSN. Of course, every member of my Lon house is excellent. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation in response to that proud statement by her own grandfather. Bayan instantly got dark lines running through her face. Even her mouth was twitching as a result of that overly pompous statement. Bayan. Suddenly, an excited voice interrupts the room from the front. Looking up, that's when she saw Chu Yi, Holy Land Princess, came shooting over like a bee. Fly. Initially, Bai Yin wanted to tease the girl for showing up out of the blue, but then her eyes soon caught sight of the pristinely white figure who followed soon afterwards. You came. A faint rippling smile radiated out of the woman's mouth. Indifferent as usual in his tone, the man's gentleman could only be discerned by the flicker of gentleness circulating within those irises. I came to see you. While the subjects themselves were busying greeting once another, a certain demon princess was having quite the wild ride right now. Popping those big, beautiful eyes, Di Xiaowan couldn't believe there would be such a beautiful man in this world. Compared to her own brother, he's only slightly worse while still being superior to the state teacher. Just that he's too cold. Father. Blinking stars in his cute baby eyes, Bai Xiaochen promptly breaks free from his grandfather's embrace and dashed into the man's arm. Revealing a rosy smile at the warm reception, Chu Yifeng met the little steam bun with open arms, a complete turnaround from his former self. All the coldness had dispersed like it never existed. Father, I missed you so much. Peachy in his cheeks over the joy of meeting the man, Bai Xiaochen didn't hesitate in the least to curl his arms around Chu Yifeng's neck like how he usually does with his mother. Towards this surreal picturesque scene, Chu Yi can only use the word bittersweet to describe her emotions right now. Her brother clearly had over 5 years to pursue Bai Yin, yet even then he couldn't turn the girl into her true sister-in-law. And look at it now. The true father have appeared, making the road to pursuit that much harder. So you are that father constantly mentioned by Xiaochen? Unlike the worried attitude portrayed by the girl, Di Xiaowan on the other hand only had shock and astonishment compared to her peer. Reverting back to his indifferent existence, only then did Chu Yifeng discover this demon princess. Somehow, his eyes felt even colder than when he first entered. Brother, She is Di Xiaowan, Di Song's sister. Chu Yi hurries to introduce the two. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Geo, Father Chu Yi Feng, too. Thank you for taking care of Bai Yin and Xiachen during this period. Giving a nod to the girl, Chu Yifeng immediately covers up his emotions again. Is this man claiming ownership? Di Xiaowan's quickly narrowed in on that statement. But, knitting up her forehead, Di Xiaowan was ready to refuse that request, only to stop at the last moment. Towards that pitiful face made by her little nephew, this girl just didn't have the heart to say no. Okay, Annie will bring you to get some osmanthus cake. Thank you, Auntie. Bursting into a gleeful smile, Bai Xiachen knew he succeeded now. The boy's plan was simple: deceive his sweet Dumbaklutz Annie away, so she doesn't get into a fight with Chu Yi again. Sure enough, it worked perfectly. Very soon, their figures were gone from the hall, thus leaving the eerily quiet hall in the background. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, Yifeng. Facing this man that's as calm as a cool spring breeze, Bai Yin finally worked up the nerve to what's on her mind. Did you come because he told you about Di Song? Yes, still indifferent and calm. The man answers smoothly. She said you were being picked on really badly by him, and that you were being restricted in your freedom. Also, this letter fell in the hands of your three shifus. They flew into a huge rage right after reading it. By the time I started to come, they were already well on their way to the Lu Hua kingdom. Deliberately hiding her own presence, knowing full well how guilty she herself was, Chu Yi finally crumbled under that pressuring gaze. Nervous in her tune, I was just kidding. Kidding. Clicking her tongue at the dishonest answer, Bai Yin thrust her friend into the open. What kidding? You were obviously saying the truth when writing that letter. Isn't that right? Di Song that B. T-R. D only knows how to take advantage of me, constantly forcing his ways against my will when I'm not careful. Then there's the matter of squatting around in my home and refusing to leave. Did I take this wrong? Di Song never covered a spot in her heart. Unlike his sister, though, Chu Yifeng appears troubled after hearing that statement. Have you always been like that in front of him? Bai Yin have always been either respectful or distant to those who she doesn't like. Even for himself, Chi Yifeng could only get a mild attitude that's neither overly warm nor overly cold when they are talking. But now, the woman's gnashing her teeth at the mention of Di Song's name. Suddenly, old Lord Lon interrupts the pair with that awkward cough, his eyes constantly eyeing the new man up and down. Yin, mind introducing us? So that's why, pretending to be enlightened by the information, the old grandpa was beaming with approval in his eyes. I'd like to thank you, young man. If not your family's kindness, I fear my dear granddaughter there wouldn't have been so well off while away from home. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Father is here. Revealing a cool smile, Chu Yifeng readily greets the elder. Yes, my father and mother, and even the whole family likes Yin a lot. Sir Yifeng, I still have some matters to attend to here, so please, wait a bit while I finish up. I would be very much pleased to have you join us afterwards. Despite the estate being his, old Lord Dong didn't have any objections to the idea. The elder knows his family was in the fault here, so he could only keep up with that awkward smile while keeping that mouth shut. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. As for the dastardly man who would murder his own daughter, this person had fallen into a despairing state. Not only was Chu Yifeng many times superior to himself, he can tell the person was likely even stronger than the strongest warrior of the kingdom. And then thinking back to the laughable proclamations he was making back at the flower brothel. Not even A-B, A-S-T-A-R-D like him can deny how foolish and idiot his plans were. But why would Batty Father kill you? Still holding the newly acquired bag of snacks in his hand, Bai Xiachen dubiously questions the girl. Brother told me to never leave your mother's side, especially when other males are trying to get close to her. Bitter in her frown, she gets all teary. If brother finds out I left while someone is trying to approach her, he would surely beat me to death. The demon princess never feared anything in life. the only exception being her older brother Song. Well, now there's a second one too. It's by Yin. Blinking his cute baby eyes, Bai Xiaochen completely disregards that worry. Annie, you are worrying too much. If mother doesn't like someone, then no one can get into her. This includes Zhou, father. Then, as a finishing blow to calm the girl. Also, if I don't say and you don't say, how would Batty father know? But just as the girl was deliberating on the feasibility of that idea, something that caught her eyes from the front had instantly crushed that hope. It seems it's too late now. Not far away, an overwhelmingly powerful aura was suffocating her, sending the poor demon princess into a numbing paralysis. Likewise, the baby boy also shivered in response, dropping the precious packet of snacks to the ground. Oh no, why would Batty father come now, of all times? By then, who am I supposed to help? Tied by the predicament, Bai Xiaochen was very perplexed by the choices laid before him. Then, as if making up his mind, he quickly whispers at the girl beside him, Auntie, you stay here and keep Batty father busy. I will go back and hide father before they meet. After finishing his order, the baby boy completely ditches the demon princess in the background and dashed for the Dong family's estate like a gust of wind during a hurricane. Xiaochen, wait. Wait for me. Oh, gracious, I don't want to be left alone with him. Turning around like a mechanical cogwheel, Di Xiao Wan meekly smiled at this man who's hailed as the lord and master of the demon realm. Talk about unsightly. She shouldn't have even tried to smile, for it's even worse than someone crying. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Reveal the true face 5. Getting a hold of her own daughter's hand, Fu Baoyun wanted to get out of the VIP room before things take a turn for the worse when a cold and indifferent voice stopped her. Where do you think you're going? Going stiff in her back, the abhorrent woman could only return her head out of duress. What? You want to go back on your words? You promised to let me go back in the palace. Chuckling at that comment, Bai Yin was amused by how foolish her foe was still. I only asked Dong Rochin not to regret his choice. When did I ever promise I would let you go? At that, the abhorrent woman's complexion finally devolved into a deathly white shade. Fear had completely invaded her heart, for she knew that's the case. Indeed, Bai Yin never said she would let her go. Then from out of nowhere, Lan Xiaoyun suddenly ran up to the woman and sent a direct slap across that dumbfounded face. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. This slap is for my grandparents. They must have endured no shortages of frustration as a result of your outrageous demands over the years. If not for my grandma's soul being so strong, she would have been long sent to the graves by you. Then came another. This second slap is for myself. Who do you think you are? I am a daughter of the Lan house. When did you get the right to dictate my marriage? This third slap is for Redzi. Ever since cousin gave my grandfather Redzi, she have never been induced to such injustice and pain. How dare you order others to torture her? Just thinking of all the wounds on the phoenix would incite the girl to boil over into tears of guilt and duress. This last slap is for my mother. After you married into the Dong house, everyone indulged you and lauded you, all because my mother refused to become the king's consort. For that reason alone, you kept picking on her, claiming she would regret it. What's so great about being the king? Can he even hold his own against my cousin here? My mother made the right choice in choosing my father. Otherwise, Bai Yin wouldn't have been my cousin. Already a sobbing mess. Even her hands were shaking all over due to the intense emotion. The girl had long wanted to dish out these slaps, but due to her uncle and mother's connection, Lan Xiaoyun had stuffed it in despite her personality. To be able to vent everything out in full blast. Words cannot begin to describe her emotions right now. Lan Xiaoyun, roaring out at the person attacking her own mother, Dong Mushui, horrible daughter, rushes forward with her claws drawn. She may be afraid of Bai Yan's might, but she's not going to fear Lan Xiaoyun, her cousin. After all, from young to now, everyone around her had forced the other side to submit, hence the reason why she would be so pompous still despite everything that's occurred. But this time, though, things are different. as if Lan Xiaoyan would continue to yield to that idiotic girl who wasn't even a legitimate child of the Dong house. With her legs drawn, she was ruthless without a morsel of mercy. In one kick, that's all it took for Lan Xiaoyan to send her foe flying out until Dong Mu Shui smashed into the nearby table. For more than 10 years, I've kept my patience with you all because I wanted to keep the peace at home. But in the end, all my kindness ends up wasted on an illegitimate girl like you. Sore in her heart, the poor girl became so overwhelmed that she didn't know how to express herself anymore. It's already bad enough that you would regularly pick on Dong Ruoqin, the man who considered you his own daughter, yet you continued to attack my mother even after she married into the Lan house. Based on what can a brat like you hold an elder in contempt? It just goes to show how disappointed she was at the man if the Lan Xiaoyan was unwilling to call Dong Ruoqin uncle there. Sure enough, this form of address didn't go unnoticed by the subject himself. Issuing out a sigh, the cowardly man clearly felt guiltier than ever in his past actions. If you want to cry, then cry. It was then Bai Yin came strolling over to her cousin's side to help soothe the girl's unstable emotion. A stupefied Di Xiao one stiff in her body. The next thing Bai Yin knew was herself being pulled into a possessive embrace by an arrogant and egotistic man. Yin, you really are naughty. Why didn't you wait for me before leaving? Showing a faint smile, this enchanting figure somehow eluded a scent of danger, like he's about to devour her whole so that they would become one. If these two were meat, surely a huge fight would ensue. This, caressing her forehead, she hurries to make an excuse like her son. Grandfather, I'm not feeling so well. I'll leave this matter to you while I return to the Luhua kingdom. I must first drag Di Tsang away because they make contact. As an elder with much experience, how can old Lord Lan not know what his granddaughter was thinking? Then adding in the possessive nature of this dangerous man, he can already imagine the impending outcome. Okay, you two should go back right away then. Don't worry, we will handle everything here. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, sadly. The man was unfazed by the gesture. Squinting his eyes, Di Tsang-gru looked even more suspicious now. You are also hiding something from me. No, I'm not. She hurries and denies it. Then where is Xiaqin? You wouldn't leave without him. Raising a D. Ningli hypnotic smirk that can make a girl fall over, he pulls her back in. Yin, are you hiding someone? Despite skipping a beat at that remark, Bai Yin continues to force herself to be calm. What are you saying? I'm leaving because I know he will be in good hands with my grandfather here. Is it now? That grin was getting very spooky. I hope you haven't forgotten what I said before now, have you? If you dare seek out another man, I will kill him as well as anyone else that comes afterward, until none would dare approach you again. Now that's what you call arrogant and overbearing. Not even a peep could be heard from the crowd gathered here today, not in front of this dangerous man anyways. However, there's bound to be an idiot that's stupid enough to seek their own death. PFFF. Puffing out a shower of blood from her mouth, this woman truly was relentless in her death-seeking ways, because even then she still wants to speak out. Not missing this at all, Lan Xiaoyan follows up with another face punch to shatter those teeth. How dare you hurt my mother? How dare you try to force me to marry your disgusting nephew? Squashing down at the abhorrent woman's face with her feet, the young girl takes the lead in coining a story. Cousin-in-law, I say this woman just don't know when to give up. She's still trying to ask for forgiveness, even when it's come to this. Out of fear for my mother going soft, I went ahead and shut her up. Puking out another mouthful of blood, Fu Bao Yin just couldn't believe this. What beg for mercy? She's tried to expose them all for hiding that man from this one. Moreover, if Dong Ruolan wasn't willing to forgive Dong Ruoqin by this point, what chances does she have? You can beat her all you like. If she dies, then I will take care of it for you. Even that tone was warmer than when he first entered. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. A stupefied Di Xiao Wantu, cousin-in-law, Lan Xiaoyan deviously snickered a laugh as she pointed at Qi Jia, secret lover. This B-A-S-T-A-R-D is delusional enough to want to marry my cousin. Seriously, Did he not look in the mirror at all? Such an ugly face, and he wants to compete with my cousin-in-law. Shivering there with incredulous in his eyes, Chi-Jia only had horror left to depict his emotions. Di-Tsong's aura was simply too overbearing and dangerous that he could not control his fear. You want to marry my wife? The voice was very low, like a mountain crushing down, thus forcing the murderer to falter to the ground in a kneeling position. He wanted to scream out an excuse, but before he could, Di-Tsong had already raised a hand at him. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. No, I don't want to die. Boom. Then came another blow, followed by a spurt of blood from his mouth. Help me. His head powerlessly hits the floorboard as he curled into a fetus position. It's one thing if he died by the knife in one go, but to be forced to watch the blood exploding out of his body in a mist form, that's not a pain some mere human can take. Likewise, the entire audience were also left in a shocked state. They too have never seen something so cruel and spooky. That's not something at the level of taking a punch or a blade. It's directly forcing the blood molecule to rupture and blow apart from within. Go home. Surprisingly, the dangerous man actually forgot to pursue the issue at hand and shifts his focus back onto the woman. Softening in his voice, okay, as you wish. All was going well. It should have been perfect. Sadly, fate likes to play with people. Just when the pair was about to step through the doorway, a loud exclaiming cry from the outside had halted their movement. Not good, not good. Sister-in-law, my brother is coming. The damsel who was dressed in pink didn't know it yet at first, but as soon as she's managed to catch sight of the man in question, that's when she was blown away. Stammering in her voice, brother, how did you get here so fast? Brother, I was just joking around. It's really just a joke. Seeing how ugly his brother's expression was getting, Di Xiaowan knew it's too late. Gulping hard, she forces an unsightly smile that couldn't fool a soul. It's over. This time brother will definitely skin me alive and hang me up for a beating. I ordered you to look after Yin Yin, and what do? You conceive against me and tells her to flee? Gloomier than ever in that face, Di-Tsong's grin was unnervingly hair-raising. Not like that. Then are you implying I'm not worthy of Yin Yin? Slowly releasing the woman in his embrace, Di-Tsong begins to encroach upon the foolish girl who wouldn't stop digging her own grave. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Father versus G. Oh, Father one. No. How is that possible? Di Xiaowan hurries to retreat a few steps. Royal brother, you are wise, powerful, unrivaled, and most good-looking too. Unless it's you with sister-in-law, there's no other who can be such a perfect match. Repeating those words for good knows how long. The demon princess finally caved and turns to Bai Yin for help with those soppy eyes of hers. In response to that plea, Bai Yin can only use the bottom of a pot to describe her face. Now she knows why her son would call this girl a sweet Dumbo klutz. It's too perfect. How can someone rampage into a place without first confirming the situation? Now look what happened. All her efforts were for naught. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Bai Yan's only hope now was that her son would be able to stabilize Chu Yifeng over at the palace. Only by doing so would the two male not cross paths today. Unfortunately for this wishful woman, just when she's ready to help close the curtain for the sweet Dumbo klutz, a familiar aura had caused her to go stiff from the front. The baby boy really did try hard to drag his target away. He truly did. Sadly, Di-Tsong's aura was simply too big that even Chu Yifeng, who was over 100 meters away by then, could feel it. Afraid it was someone coming to make trouble for Bai Yin, this man in white no longer cared for anything else and directly rushed back to the estate despite the baby boy's protest. Finally, averting his gaze from his sister, Di-Tsong focuses in on the newcomer. Yin Yin, is this the man whom you were trying to hide from me? He's Xiaqin's G.O.'d father. Since it's come to this, Bai Yin figured there's no point in hiding it anymore and confessed to the whole thing. As for the demon princess, she knows very well she's the one at fault here. Sliding to one corner in silence, she lowers her head almost to the point of touching the floorboard. Of course, when one party worries, then there's bound to be another who's happy. Fu Bao Yin was literally laughing in ecstasy at this scene. However, the more she wanted to laugh, the more her voice refused to come out. Under the heavy and depressing atmosphere of this eerie silence, Bai Yin thought a fight was inevitable right now. However, just when she wanted to go persuade the two, Di Tsong's low and calm voice had knocked her logic right out of the roof. I have to thank you for taking care of my wife and children for all these years. What? What's going on here? Forget about the abhorrent woman who was gloating over the confrontation. Everyone else here were also popping their eyes at the unexpected statement. As it stands to reason, two male competing for one woman should be in a fight by now. Why did it turn out to be so polite? Cool and calm, without a speck of fluctuation in his face. Chu Yifeng replies in kind like the cloud in the sky. You don't have to thank me. If it weren't for you, then there wouldn't be Xiaoqin's birth. And without him, then there wouldn't be the years of companionship between us three. Maybe it's due to the way that sentence was phrased, or maybe it's the lack of emotional change, but Di Tsong appears to threaten when he made a grab for Bai Yan's hand. I indeed missed out on a lot over the years, but I will have a lifetime to be with my wife and children from now on. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Father versus G. Oh, father, too. Do you know how miserable she was when she first appeared back then? From indifference to a layer of sadness. Chu Yifeng's voice definitely got more serious, like he's interrogating his foe. Over this questioning, Di Tsong could only clasp his hand harder, like the action alone would be enough to make the woman stay by his side for good. When the elders brought her back from the outside, she was B-L-O-O-D. Why all over like someone that's been salvaged from a pool of blood? There were no good parts on her. Despite that, she continued to protect her son, even in a coma. Where were you then? Where were you when she was in danger? Hanging her eyes low, Bai Yin didn't know how to face her guardian angel. She knew the man had feelings for her all along. Unfortunately, her heart only had room for him as a brother, a family member. That's all and nothing else. Time had once again frozen overdue to this. No one spoke, nor would they want when the one speaking was so cool and charming. While everyone was entranced by the story, there was one individual who was very much enraged, and that was old Lord Lan. This grandfather had thought Bai Yin was living very well during her time away from home. Never did he expect how harsh the conditions truly were out there. If a washing machine was around, it would be equivalent to ripping his heart out and thrusting it in there with a bunch of knives so it can run for a good cycle. That's how much aching pain his heart felt right now. The Bai house. It's all their fault. After I return to the Lu Hua kingdom, I will never let those people get away. This man knows how to apologize too. It is all my fault, Yin Yin. Grasping hard on both of her hands, Di Tsong grew even more forceful. If only I had found you and our son earlier, then maybe you wouldn't have had to suffer so much out there alone. I promise you, in the future, I will never let any more harm come your way. She honestly didn't know how to respond to that vow. Nor did she know how to face him because her heart definitely skipped a beat like a woman falling in love. However, maybe it's the trauma from her previous life, or the disgusting display of all the poor men in this world, but her mind had subconsciously ignored that small flicker of feeling without her notice. As the old saying goes, wealth comes with risks and danger. If not for the hurdles she faced thus far, would she be the current her? Of course not. My wife need not those things. Whatever you want, I can give you it and more. Amused by that remark, Bai Yin stroked her chin like a devious imp ready to play her trick. I want you to stay far, far away from me. Would you be able to do that? Aside from that, humph. Snorting at the refusal, Bai Yin knew he would say that. If you can't stay away, then I can. Not missing the flirtatious conversation between the pair, Chu Yifeng finally couldn't keep still anymore. Yin Yin, can I have a moment alone with you? I have something I'd like to discuss with you. First musing over the request, Bai Yin was ready to give her approval by nodding when the overbearing man beside her cries out in objection. I won't allow it. Di Tsong, Bai Yin roars. When are you coming back? Talk about a quick turnaround. Sister-in-law only roared at him. Now he's changing his tune? If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The man whom gave her warmth. Originally, Bai Yin thought Di Tsong would definitely blockade herself from going. Yet, the unexpected occurred, which was beyond her expectations. In reality, she was already regretting that question the second she asked. Why? Because Di-Tsong had hooked his powerful arms around her waist and snuck a smooch on those tender lips. I don't need to eat any medicine. I only need to eat you. This man is so vexing. He simply won't let a single chance slide when teasing me. Knowing full well he succeeded, evident by the tightly clasped fist from Chu Yifeng, Di-Tsong raises a cheeky grin like he's the superior man right now. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Let's go. She urges her G.O.'d brother to move. In response to this, Chu Yifeng eventually loosens his clenched fist and makes a warming smile. Okay. Under the peach blossom tree of this autumn's day, a man of white and a female of red now stood eye to eye in front of one another, their figures enchantingly mesmerizing. Yifeng, is there something you need to say? Bai asks. Yifeng, I am sorry. In the end, I will have to betray his feelings. Shaking his head with a bittersweet smile, when have you ever done anything that needs to be sorry about? Everything I did was according to my own will, my own feelings. If I never demanded repayment from the start, then how can I demand a relationship now? Actually, he is right about me. I should have pursued you much earlier. Maybe then you would have accepted me. However, I simply couldn't force myself onto you. I thought that by being good to you that you would respond to my feelings. Yin Yin, you are both my light and the love of my soul. I fear I wouldn't be able to forget you in this entire lifetime. Pausing there when no response ever came, Chu Yifeng appears to be struggling to continue. Just that. Even though I know you won't return my feelings, I still want to be your shield, your support. Yifeng, why go so far from me? If there's no love, then there's no love. Her feelings won't just randomly change from family bond to the sort of love between a man and woman. Perhaps it's my own sin. Ever since I met you, I knew I wouldn't be able to take in another woman for my heart. Gently raising his hand, the man in white places it onto the peach blossom tree like he's remembering something. Towards this type of obsession, I'm sure Di-Tsong can also relate to me. Isn't that right? Di-Tsong that B-A-S-T-A-R-D kept spouting C-R-A-P like chopping off my leg and arms whenever he pleases. Then there's also that night on the bed. He almost went all the way in front of our son. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The real scum of all people, 3, first glancing down at the dagger inside her chest, then back at her own father whom she worships like a god, she finally asked, why? The girl's eye appears to be shocked still and couldn't believe the scene. Don't blame me. Blame your mother. If not for her selfishness in dragging me down with her, I wouldn't have done this. The bastard grins, pleased by what he has done. That's what you get for dragging me down at the end. If I must die then, I'll let you have a good ending either. Making a heavy thud upon her collapse. It's obvious there's an enormous amount of regret in the young girl's face. She can't even close those eyes of hers in the end. Twisted in her face over the loss of her daughter, Fu Baoyun roars out in extreme pain. You bastard, you actually killed your own daughter, your own flesh and blood. And whose fault is that? Ruthless in his punch across the woman's face, he actually sneered at his former partner. If not for a tramp like you, then I would have never fallen into such a state. If I'm going to die, then I'm going to drag our children along with us. Ew. Shivering there as she points at the dastardly man, Fu Baoyun grew worried over the threat. What are you planning to do with our son? Cruel in his smile, Qi Jia had no qualms about his twisted logic. Do you think that tigress back at my home would let him live? If I was alive, then I could still protect our son. But if I'm dead, you think he will get away? Why would the Qi family be so dry in their lineage over the years? Of course, it's because of that tigress back at home. That woman was as vicious as this man, murdering any possible baby before it could come into this world. If such a person were to learn of Dong Mu Lin's existence, surely she would take to drastic means of murdering him in one way or another. Trembling all over, Fu Baoyun now regrets it with all her might. She only knew Qi Jia failed her earlier. Never had she ever taken into consideration what would befall her son if they are finished here today. Whatever words the two of you have to say, save it for when you enter the demon beast forest. We don't have time to listen to your nonsenses." Wrinkling his forehead, old Lord Lon was quite impatient at this point when his eyes caught sight of the cowardly man. Fu Bao Yun and her man is now done with, but there's still the matter with him. What sort of answer is the Dong house going to give me for Dong Ro Qin? Shuddering for a second there, Dong Tianling was a bit reluctant to answer. No matter what, the man's still his son. May I know what sort of answer is in-law looking for? First, he must leave the Dong house for good. Second, our Lon house will continue to welcome both of you to visit in the future, but Rulan will never return here again in the future. For his daughter-in-law to suffer so much grievances inside this home over the years, there's no way he will be merciful, not after finally learning the truth. As for the subject herself, Dong Rulan only pursed her lips and remained silent. It's quite obvious her brother's behavior thus far had thoroughly hurt her heart. If they continue to meet in the future, she might not be able to control her emotions and lash out in anger. This, Dong Tianling was startled. Turning his sight towards his daughter, he wants to hear it from the girl herself. "Daughter, is this also your wish?" Responding with a bittersweet smile, Dong Rulan finally got the chance to say her story. Back when Fu Baoyin demanded I hand over my daughter to be used as a gift for her nephew, Dong Rochin was there too. He not only didn't help me, he just stood there and watched. Such behavior, how can I not be disheartened? During their childhood, both siblings were very good in their relationship, mainly because of how often Dong Rulan took a beating for her younger brother. Even so, she never regretted her actions back then for her brother's sake. But what did she get in return after all those years of love and protection she gave him? Nothing, that's what. She's tired already, so tired that she may never be able to forgive her younger brother again in this lifetime. "Sister," trembling in his lip, Dong Ruochin had no face left to meet his sister's gaze. Closing his eyes in pain, he truly regrets it all. "I'm sorry, I was wrong." Despite the genuine apology, Dong Ruolin had no reply for it. "Father," suddenly popping his eyes wide open, he turns to his father. "I am willing to leave the Dong house until Sister is willing to forgive me." Godfather Chu Yifeng I, effectively older by a decade after that, Dong Tianling, old Lord Dong, was literally quivering his lips due to how bitterly sad he felt. If you had the foresight to see this outcome, then why did you do that back then? You, kneel before your sister and admit you're wrong first. "Yes, father." Turning around, the cowardly man slowly came before his sister and squats down to the ground. "Sister, I know that you won't forgive me. I was obsessed and lost my ways, forgetting all the good that you gave me. If life has a second chance, I swear I won't ever fail you again." Through the heavy banging of his head, blood begins to ooze out of his forehead due to the impacting blows. Then, after 10 repeated kowtows, he finally got up and revealed a calm smile that was dishearteningly painful to watch. "Sister, you have a good niece." "Humph." Snorting at that comment, old Lord Lon immediately butts in. "Of course, every member of my Lon house is excellent." This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation in response to that proud statement by her own grandfather. Bayan instantly got dark lines running through her face. Even her mouth was twitching as a result of that overly pompous statement. "Bayan." Suddenly, an excited voice interrupts the room from the front. Looking up, that's when she saw Chu Yi, Holy Land Princess, came shooting over like a butterfly. Initially, Bai Yin wanted to tease the girl for showing up out of the blue, but then her eyes soon caught sight of the pristinely white figure who followed soon afterwards. "You came." A faint rippling smile radiated out of the woman's mouth. "Uh-huh." Indifferent as usual in his tone, the man's gentleman could only be discerned by the flicker of gentleness circulating within those irises. "I came to see you." While the subjects themselves were busy in greeting once another, a certain demon princess was having quite the wild ride right now. Popping those big, beautiful eyes, Di Xiao one couldn't believe there would be such a beautiful man in this world. Compared to her own brother, he's only slightly worse while still being superior to the state teacher. Just that he's too cold. "Godfather." Blinking stars in his cute baby eyes, Bai Xiaochen promptly breaks free from his grandfather's embrace and dashed into the man's arm. Revealing a rosy smile at the warm reception, Chu Yifeng met the little steam bun with open arms, a complete turnaround from his former self. All the coldness had dispersed like it never existed. "Godfather, I missed you so much." Peachy in his cheeks over the joy of meeting the man, Bai Xiaochen didn't hesitate in the least to curl his arms around Chu Yifeng's neck like how he usually does with his mother. Towards this surreal, picturesque scene, Chu Yi can only use the word bittersweet to describe her emotions right now. Her brother clearly had over 5 years to pursue Bai Yin, yet even then he couldn't turn the girl into her true sister-in-law. And look at it now. The true father have appeared, making the road to pursuit that much harder. "So you are that godfather constantly mentioned by Xiaochen?" Unlike the worried attitude portrayed by the girl, Di Xiaowan, on the other hand, only had shock and astonishment compared to her peer. Reverting back to his indifferent existence, only then did Chu Yifeng discover this demon princess. Somehow, his eyes felt even colder than when he first entered. "Brother, she is Di Xiaowan, Di Tsong's sister." Chu Yi hurries to introduce the two. Want to protect his mother? Bai Yan's mouth was twitching. What difference is there from several months ago? Nevertheless, the very fact that her baby boy was willing to go through such efforts to protect herself was a heartwarming scene in of it itself. Pulling the little steam bun in, she gives the boy a snorkeling kiss to express her joy. "Xiaochen, you really are mother's precious darling. There's nothing for me to regret with you here in my life. Now, even my own son is here to compete with me? Seriously, did this little twerp forget who's the one responsible for letting him come into this world?" "Di Tsong," the woman slams down at the bed. "Why are you yelling at my son?" If it was anyone else talking to this man like that, they would have been torn to shreds already. Fortunately, this wasn't just anyone. It's Bai Yin herself, the ultimate weak point of the Demon Lord. Being favored tends to make a person fearless. This logic applies to everything in life. With that said, the man didn't give any room for refusal and T.C. head the boy up for departure. Under the glistening light of the night's moon, one man and one boy of extreme likeness now stood eye to eye, their faces unyielding on both corners. "Do you want to protect your mother?" The man's voice rang out, giving the darkness an echoing effect. Towards that sudden question, Bai Xiaochen actually didn't know how to take it. Blinking his big baby eyes, it took him a minute to come up with an answer. "I am a man, so, of course, I have to protect my mother and sister." "Who taught these words to you?" Narrowing down on his eyes, Di Tsong's gaze exuded the very essence of danger in every manner. "Sister Yi told me. She said a man must protect those dear to him, meaning I have to protect mother from bad guys like you." Poor girl, just like that shoot, he was completely sold by the boy. Evoking a very dense smile, Di Tsong's face was exceptionally dark. "She told you I was bullying your mother?" Naturally, Bai Xiaochen wouldn't understand the danger of this question. Therefore, the only response he had was to tilt his head and nod like a good boy that he was. "We will leave this matter alone for now. Firstly, you say you want to protect your mother, but let me tell you something. You are not qualified yet." However, a light beams out of Di Tsong's eye as a sinister smile quickly forms around his mouth. "If you can persuade your mother to follow me back to the demon realm, there would be a way. As the prince of all demons in the world, you are free to enjoy the resources at your disposal. Only like that can you quickly grow into the existence that you want." Demon realm? This was the first time Bai Xiaochen ever heard of such a place. Puzzled in his cute little face, he asked, "Is the demon realm far? If I go, then would I be able to see my uncle and aunties and them again? What about great-grandmother and great-grandfather? Would they be there too?" Getting no answer yet, Di Tsong continues to brainwash the child to get his ways. There will be more enemies to encounter in the future. If you aren't stronger by then, who will protect your mother? Don't forget, you are a demon yourself. Only by being inside the demon realm can you find the most suitable method of training. Bai Xiaochen's talent have always been very high, making him superior to every human child that's come his way. In some cases, even a human adult would lose out to him during combat. For Ditsong to say something like this, it can only mean the enemies indicated here are not human, but something much, much more. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The Knot Inside by Yan's Heart. 1. And what if mother is unwilling? Whether or not you can convince your mother will depend on your ability. In order to chase after his wife, the poor man have quite literally used everything within his means. Now to have a son at his disposal, why wouldn't he use him? Batty father, will mother be in danger if she goes to the demon realm? Wrinkling his cute little brows, the baby boy was all innocent with those big blue eyes. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. No, I won't let anyone hurt her. Rubbing his son's head, Ditsong reaffirms his stance. Looking at the little guy's protective appearance, Ditsong could no longer keep up his usual deadpan face, making a smirk of arrogance. If I wanted to force her, then she would have been in the demon realm by now. All right then, Batty father. But first I'm hungry. Rubbing his belly, the baby boy peers up at his old man with antic 1p, Asian in those eyes. Do you know how to cook? In response to this question, Ditsong can only say he's getting dark lines running through his face. There are cooks in the estate. Hanging his disappointed head down, Bai Xiaoqin lays out the truth of his predicament. I only like mother's cooking. Because of how busy she's been lately, I couldn't have anything good to eat. I'm hungry. Oh, maybe I should look for G. Oh, father, maybe he will know how to cook for me. No, PC. Hing his son before he could go anywhere. Ditsong inhales deeply like he just accepted his fate. All right, I will personally cook for you. For this careless demand, the ones to suffer the most had to be the members of the Dong house. They couldn't sleep, not even for a minute, due to the unnerving sounds of explosion from their kitchen. Then when old Lord Dong went to investigate, the poor old man was immediately stopped at the entrance by the ferocious-looking GLA. S-Dragon. Next day morning, the disturbance has finally ceased from the epicenter. Firstly was Ditsong coming out of the kitchen. As usual, he remains as impeccable as ever without a speck of dust on his body. The same clean robe of black from yesterday. The same meticulously groomed hair of silvery shade. If anything, he was even more attractive after working all night. As for the baby boy who went in with him, Bai Xiaoqin, on the other hand, wasn't so fortunate. He was full of grievance in his expression when coming out. The reason? Well, considering how dirty his face was, covered in soot and dust, it's no wonder he'd be unhappy. Mother, I missed you so much. I really miss your dompa meat, braised pork knuckle, and salt-baked chicken. How did you end up like this? Seeing how dirty his son was, Bai Yin inexplicably furrowed her brow in response. Did you two go overboard last night in the kitchen? Tugging at his mother's sleeve in a pitiful manner, Batty father specifically went into the kitchen to learn how to cook for you. You must accept it, okay? Okay, my son. Seeing the state of her son's face, Bai Yin can only agree wholeheartedly to the point where she completely missed the strangeness in the boy's tune. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The Knot Inside by Yan's Heart, too. This is for you. From Ditsong's reached-out hand, Bai Yin can see a white little fox there on the palm. It was a sculpture made of white radish that looked almost lifelike. If placed within a patch of GRAS, one might really mistake it for the real thing from afar. Then I'm returning it to you. Nearly tossing it away out of reflex, there were no delays in how fast she stuffed it back into the man's possession. I can't afford such a thing. Only a little fox carving made up of white radish, and he wants me to bestow myself onto him? I'm not that cheap. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. You don't like it? Wrinkling his brow, Ditsong asks again. Then what would you like? Caressing her chin, Bai Yan's line of sight inadvertently fell upon the big, open sky. Now that's when her lips curved into a devious smile. I want the celestial realm. Can you give it to me? Celestial realm? Ditsong was silent. Okay. Toddling behind her, the baby didn't forget to give his big bad father a wink, indicating everything will be in his hands now. Mother, do you really want Batty father to take the celestial realm for you? Tilting his cute little head, Bai Xiaoqin asks. Halting in her steps, Bai was hesitant at first. Nevertheless, she decides to tell the truth. I only wanted to let him know when to back off. Everyone knows the celestial realm isn't real. So, mother, you don't like baddie father? Wrinkling his tiny nose, the baby boy realizes now how troublesome that would be if it was the case. Going stiff in her body, Bai clearly didn't think she would be asked such a question by her boy. Son, I know you are different from those ordinary children out there, and I can see you are able to understand more than what your age perceives. The baby boy then lowered his head before replying, as if he was confused by the explanation. But baddie father said he won't let anyone hurt you, mother. Amused by his son's troubled face, Bai attempts to explain her reasoning. Know this, my son. Everyone has a past life prior to their current one. My former life is in a place called China. Reflecting back to her memories of old, Bai gently closes her eyes to relish in the images flickering across her mind. In the past, my former parents were deeply in love with one another. Our family of 3 were very happy at the time. Unfortunately, fate wasn't kind to my grandfather. He ended up provoking an enemy too powerful to fend against. And as a sacrifice for the stability of the family, my father abandoned him in the time of need. Even before coming into this world, Bai was already part of an ancient martial arts family in China. And her parents, they're childhood friends, so both families would often collaborate together to fend off any enemies. Caressing her son's head, Bai attempts to cover up the pain that's circulating in her eyes. My mother couldn't bear to let my grandfather face the danger alone. So, she dashed into the crisis with only one sword in hand. That year I was only 5. My father just watched on the sidelines as my mother and grandfather perished in a pool of blood. I pleaded for him to save my mother, but he refused at the end. In truth, if both families had joined forces like before then, they might have been able to defeat the enemy. Unfortunately, he wouldn't budge. He didn't have the courage, that's why. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The knot inside by Yan's heart. 3. Men truly are a laughable species. When life is stable and secure, he will promise you everything. But when danger comes knocking, he will abandon you without remorse. And it was precisely because of this life-changing event that I worked strenuously to increase my cultivation. Eventually, I did avenge my mother, but I couldn't stop then. Those that stayed by my side left me one by one, all because I neglected them for power. Opening her eyes, Bai Yan's face now carried a smile that somehow hurts just by peering at it. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. I still don't understand. Hovering between understanding and confusion, the baby boy nevertheless states his opinion. However, I won't ever leave you, mother, and I believe baddie father won't either. Inside the backyard of the estate, a big red bird had just landed on the ground. My king, is something the matter in summoning me so urgently? Transforming into a man of red, this bird was the very same phoenix subordinate that Di Song brought along from the demon realm. Pass. S-word back to the state teacher. Have him gather the elites from every demon tribe and toss them into the demon mirror. The demon mirror was the secret training ground of the demon realm. In order to open the entrance, even just once, it would require enormous energy. Now, Di Song wants to toss everyone inside. Shuddering for a second there on the ground, the man of red attempts to dissuade the demon lord. My king, I implore you to reconsider the idea. There's no need. Raising a tyrannical smile of epic proportion, Di Song answers without hesitation. Tell him we are attacking the celestial realm. What? What? Attacking the celestial realm? The king wants to attack the celestial realm? Did he go mad? My king, our demon realm has been sealed by centuries. Shouldn't we reconsider the idea first? Neither annoyed nor angered, Di Song lays it out bare for his subordinate. If my queen wants the celestial realm, then it shall be done. What's more, it's time we settled the score with those celestials for the debt they instilled upon our race millennia ago. While one side was readying for war, the other was having a good time with their family members. You're here, but where's Lord Song? Seeing how the girl was only with her son and coming over, old Lord Lon didn't forget to ask his granddaughter this important fact. Smiling at the question, Bai Yin didn't get angry because she knew it would be like this. He will come soon afterwards. Grandfather, why don't we return home first on the dragon's back? Getting the signal, the GLA.S dragon first utters a low moaning cry before lowering his body in preparation for the people to embark on its back. Nodding at her second cousin's suggestion, Bai Yin agrees with the boy's idea. There are too many soldiers here. As big as the dragon was, there's just not enough room. Casting her gaze over to Chu Holy Land Princess, Bai Yin didn't forget to ask, "Where's your brother?" If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. The knot inside Bai Yan's heart, for Chu was startled at first. First shaking the head of hers, she answers honestly, "I don't know either. He told me earlier in the morning that he has something to attend to, and that he will meet us in the Luhua Kingdom later." Something to attend to? Furrowing her brow, Bai Yin begins to wonder. It's all father's fault for not making me a boy instead. Otherwise, I could have pursued Bai Yin instead of leaving to my dumb brother. The girl's mood was definitely not very good, especially when her stupid brother had left without putting up a fight against his rival Song. As skeptical as that look was on Bai Yan's face, she didn't pursue the topic and pushed onward. All right, we'll go back first then. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation since her background has been fully disclosed now through various sources. There's no longer a need to keep the Bai house around anymore. It's time she went back and cleared them out. The Luhua Kingdom. The first to dismount from the serpent was Chu and Di Wan, followed quickly by a reddish figure with her precious little steam bun. "Mistress, you are back." The one coming to receive them was none other than Hualuo, the head of the flower brothel. Showing a bright smile at her faithful subordinate, Bai Yin inquires about any changes while they were away. "Did anything occur during these couple of days while I was away?" Reporting to Mistress, "The other day, when Ru came to see you. But when he heard you were absent, he immediately left." "When Ru? He came to see me? Did a problem occur during his work?" The young boy called Wenru was someone whom lost to Bai Yin during a compet. One time. Since then, the lad had sworn loyalty and now leads the alchemist team founded by the woman. According to their agreement, unless the situation was dire or huge, the boy was instructed not to bother her. Holy Land? Bai Yan's nearly laughed at that silly question. She herself was from there, so how can she not know about its existence? Are you referring to them recruiting people? If so, then I already know. Regarding hers and Chu Yi's origin, Bai Yin had never mentioned it once before the public. That's why Hualuo would ask such a question. "Mistress, your brother Sir Xiao is Partik. 1p. Aiding in the recruitment process of the Holy Land." Releasing a helpless sigh, the charming woman appears powerless in her voice when stating this. Bai Yin was startled there for a moment. "You were saying my brother wants to enter the Holy Land?" "Bai house." Tightly wrinkling her brow, Bai Yin didn't think that horrendous family would start trouble again this quickly. All she did was leave for a few days. Furthermore, there's no illusion in her mind that those people would be this kind. "Hualuo, tell me the specifics." From those murderous eyes, an overflowing amount of killing intent was exuding out of her enchanting figure. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Endure? 1. Out of reflex, Bai Yin shifts her gaze over to Chu which in turn made the princess shrug her shoulders like she didn't have a clue. Is that man blind or something? Di Wan was quite jumpy due to her own anger. I've already shaved the girl's head. How could they even get together in that state? Towards that question, Hualuo had the answer. He's not blind, just the man has a special fetish for nuns. Then what's the deal with the Bai house registering my brother for the recruitment process? Dark in her face, Bai Yin coldly asks. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, showing a bitter smile. Hualuo apparently didn't know how to handle the situation either. I'm not sure how the Bai house managed to do this, but they have managed to persuade the man to ignore all the rumors out in the public. Now that individual will only listen to Bai Ji and her stories, thus allowing that family to make waves again while you were away, mistress. Not even the demon beast sect are able to halt their arrogance. Now, this leaves the question, Why would the Holy Land suddenly come outside to recruit people? Contemplating the idea for a good while, Bayan eventually gives up on the dilemma when it didn't make sense. Besides, she can always get the answer directly from her 3 shifis. I understand the situation now. First tell me where my brother is. I will go see him. The Bai house want to make a move against my brother? Humph. That will depend entirely on whether or not they have the ability first. By Jeanpon, by Yin P. R. I. C. Keter brows at the name. Where's the letter? Since the charming woman has been carrying the item on her at all times, it didn't take long for Hualuo to hand over the letter. With a tear, Bayan made quick work of the contents inside. According to the letter, it was message telling her about how the man had to leave first and could only use this method to bid his farewell for now. Aside from that, there's not much else in terms of usefulness. Let's go. Bring me to my brother. It's only been a few days since Bayan left to help her aunt, yet the looks coming her way from the Pas Sing pedestrians were all carrying the eyes of shock and pity. Kiki, the Holy Land, is one of the 3 hidden sects of this world. No matter how strong Bayan is, she can never go up against such a power. Gossiping voices could be heard from every corner of the street, making the trip all the more irritating. Oh, Miss Bayan, where would you be going on this fine day? Due to the familiarity of that voice, Bayan didn't even need to think twice about turning around to face the source. Sure enough, it was a middle-aged man leading a fat little boy by his side, and due to the chicken leg and pig trotter in each hand, the young lad looked awfully dirty there. As friends, it's only normal to want to give each other an embracing hug to show off their friendship. However, it's unlikely anyone would want to be smothered in sweat and oil by the same EX, and a super fat one at that. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Endure? 2. Oh, Xiaochen, I missed you to death. Where have you been during these past couple of days? I went to your house before, but your auntie there said you were away. I heard the people of the Holy Land came to our city. I and my father are going there to see. A humph, coughing hard and loud to stop his son from making the situation even more awkward. And Jidichio carefully eyes the woman for signs of anger. Miss Bayan, I'm sure you've heard of the matter with the Holy Land already. So, I'd like to ask, do you know about the Bai house getting on the good side of that power? Still smiling on her face, Bayan didn't mind the carelessness of the child at all. It seems that everyone knows already. This, as awkward as it was, Jidichio nevertheless lays down his support. I know I can't help you much at all, but I do have a lot of money. If you and the Bai house are going to confront each other, then I can support your side financially. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. He's a businessman in and out. So what's the biggest concern for his kind? Of course it's benefits. To provide funding without any monetary gain in return. How can he be fine still? But, deliberately lowering his voice, I suggest you not clash with the Bai house for now. First bide your time until the dust settles. After all, they have the Holy Land on their side. Endure it for now. Seeing the kind man's cautious appearance, Bayan didn't have the heart to reject the suggestion and went with the flow. Okay, I understand. Getting the answer that he hoped for, the greedy merchant couldn't be happier. You are young anyways, there's bound to be other opportunities around. And if you can somehow catch their fancy, you might even be able to become a core disciple of the Holy Land. Of course, for someone like Bayan who doesn't belong to any of the mentioned groups above, it just goes to show how special her existence was within the Holy Land. Caressing her chin in thought, Bayan then snorted in amuse. Ent. Is there anything else? If not, then we will first take our leave. Oh wait, there's one more thing I need to tell you. First, sweeping his gaze around for signs of others, Jidachio then went ahead to speak in a whispering voice after confirming there's no eavesdroppers. According to a reliable source of mine, the elders of the Holy Land is also coming. If Miss Bai Yin you're willing to endure for the next couple of days, I'm sure you would be able to catch their fancy by using your means. When that occurs, what else do you have to fear? Hump. Coughing hard at the last part of that sentence, Bai Yin couldn't resist making a strange face at that statement. Heaving a long sigh, Jidichio really had to hand it to the Bai house. Nangonglin's secret had only recently been exposed before the world. Now they're already making waves across the kingdom after a couple of days. Isn't the deities being too gracious towards them? Thank you for your kindness. Twitching her mouth, Bayin didn't have the heart to burst the man's bubble. I understand. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Endure? 3. Though Bayin did not explicitly say she would endure, but when transferred to WN Jichio's ear, it somehow turned out that way. Oh, isn't this Bayin? You actually have the nerve to come back. Just as she's ready to leave, this eerie voice had caught their attention from the front. Turns out, it was Yu Rong coming over with her chin raised higher than the sky. Apparently, this foolish woman hasn't learned her lesson yet and intends to make trouble. Bayin, I should thank you. If you have an S, N, A, T, C. Head away, Deed Song, then my daughter wouldn't have been able to enter the Holy Land. That man may be strong, but when compared to the Holy Land, you bang. Without indication. The second Yu Rong came into attacking distance, Bayin had raised her fist and sent it straight into the woman's face. This blow undoubtedly caught everyone off guard, especially the one receiving it, flying out like a ragged doll until she hit the cold, hard ground. Yu Rong now laid there sprawled to the floor. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. How annoying. Ignoring the fact that there's still a person in front of them, Bayin went ahead and pulled her son along to step right over on top of Yu Rong's body. As a result of this second blow, the injured woman finally splurged out a mouthful of blood and fainted away. Meanwhile, in the background, the man was left there with his jaws gaped open. Is this what she considers to be enduring? WN Jidashio was definitely flabbergasted there. Isn't the fact that the disciple is from the Holy Land strong enough? Just when he was baffled on how to take the girl's odd behavior, Chu Yi also followed suit and stepped over Yu Rong's poor body. Hey, father, wiping those greasy hands off with his clothes, W.N. Ji Xiaoping suddenly chimes in. Sister Bayin is so cool there. Can you come up with a plan and help them? Of course it's boss. Isn't what father asking just nonsensical? I've long recognized Xiachen as my boss, so of course I would call him that. Annoyed by his son's antics, W.N. Jidachio grumpily states his own difficulties. If not for your mistake back at home, then would we have been driven out of the main house? Father, didn't Sister Bayin sell you a lot of damn pills? Why don't you look for grandfather and ask him for an idea? Without Xiachen's mother, then the supplies would be gone too. Likely aware of his father's thought pattern, W.A.N. Ji Xiaoping immediately got vindictive. Father, if you don't come up with a solution to help, then I will burn your treasury room. You decide for yourself on what you want to do. You livid in his face, W.A. Jidichio really wanted to smack this brat of his. Quit looking at me like that. You may be able to keep watch over your precious things inside for a while, but you can never watch over them forever. When you're not looking, I will sneak inside and burn every crisp of it. Snorting without a pang of fear, the chubby threatens his father like a real boss. Grabbing the boy by the collar, W.N. Jidachio roars out at his son. DM, brat, consider yourself lucky. I will go back and send your grandfather a letter to see if he has a plan. Let's just hope now that your friend's mother there wouldn't go too far and only offend a disciple of the Holy Land and not their elders instead. Otherwise, not even your grandfather would be able to do a thing by then. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Endure? 4. The chubby finally breathed a sigh of relief. So long as his grandfather comes forward to adjust the situation, then there would be no issue, generally anyways. Father, be lighter. I am your son. The poor chubby cries out for mercy. Oh, you still remember you were my son? How come you didn't remember that when you were threatening me just now? If I don't teach you a proper lesson today, then my surname will follow yours instead. The man firmly believes it now. If he doesn't lecture this brat a good one, then it's just a matter of time before he heads to the coffin. But father, you and my surname is the same to begin. Before the poor chubby could even finish that sentence, another major slap had already come falling down, thus sending the boy jerking up and down like someone tossed into a hot frying pan. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, likely caught off guard by this. The man subconsciously shifted his gaze around towards the indicated direction. However, what he saw were nothing but pedestrians and not the reddish female with her son. Then by the time this father returned his focus back to the brat that was his son, the boy was already long gone, disappearing into the crowd without a trace to follow. Enraged at being deceived by a child, W.A.N. Giudicio furiously roars out, "Stinking brat, just wait till I get my hands on you. I will slap that B.U.T. of yours until it flowers." Bai-yin didn't care for the extra attention. Instead, she only followed Huolua's direction up to the second floor, where she found the room in which she's looking for. Even from the outside, she can already hear that familiar sound of her brother's voice. Gently placing her hands on the door, K.N.O.B., she slowly pushes it open and saw the people inside. Bai Xiao was currently seated with his back facing the doorway, while his friend Wei Qing sat across from him. The two teens were truly a sight for the eyes. One was cool and calm, the other sharp and handsome. No matter how one compared these two, they're like the contrasting moon and the sun. Though very different, they still gave off a very good vibe. "Sister, you are back?" Bai Xiao immediately stood up and welcomed his sister. Still leading his son, Bai Yin gracefully greeted her brother. "Brother, did Her Grace the Dowager hand you the letter I left behind?" Stumping there for a second, Bai Xiao's appears to be struggling for a word. "I've read it, yes." The meaning behind that reply didn't just apply to their blood, it also applied to his mother's death relating to the Bai house. "That's right. My sister is so amazing, so how can the Bai house be her home? It's more understandable that she's from another family, a better one." "Brother, since you know already, then let us go to the Bai house now. I want to pay them back for all the sins and grievances they instilled upon us, and Mother." If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. "Revenge for you." Furrowing her brow, Bai-yin was slightly taken aback by the teen's request. "What are you planning to do?" "I want to partake 1P8 in the Holy Land's recruitment compet. One time." His tone was firm there, matched with that handsome face smeared by the L.U.S. tearing light from the outside. It was almost impossible for the female S.E.X. to deny him. "Give me a reason on why you must take the test, then." As unwilling as she was to the idea, Bai-yin nevertheless gives her brother the benefit of the doubt and asked for the reason. "Nangongyi?" Caressing her chin, Bai-yin's narrowed gaze was exuding a dangerous light, like she's plotting something evil. "From what I remember, Nangong, he has been crippled by Ditsong, hasn't he? How could he still compete? Tell me, brother, what has happened during the past few days while I was away?" "Sister, you don't have to worry about these things. Just believe in me, I won't embarrass myself in front of the public." He may say that, but those tightly clenched fists said otherwise of his confidence. Perhaps it's the persevering look of her brother there, or just the trust she held for him, but she nevertheless agreed. Showing a faint smile, "All right, no matter what you two intend to do, I will always support you. Therefore, I will give you a couple days until I make my move. By then it will be the end of the Bai house once and for all." "Uncle, these are for you." Rummaging through his pocket, the baby boy suddenly pulls out all of the medicinal bottles in his possession for the lad. "That's all of my snacks, Uncle. You must win, okay? Let all those baddies know Mother's brother is also very powerful." Watching the plentiful amount of precious pills in his hands, Bai Xiao genuinely felt happy from within. "I will not lose. If I lose now, then what qualifications do I have to stand behind her in the future? For that, I can never lose. Son, let us leave for now then." Casting a final glance at her brother, Bai-yin nevertheless departs from the room, knowing full well this was not the time to be distracting the boy. "Bai Xiao, why are you so dead set on this recruitment compet? One time? We don't even know what sort of medicine that person gave to Nangong to make him recover. What if you can't beat him?" Taking all of it in, Wei Qing can understand why his friend would want to do something to prove himself, but did it have to be in this fashion? "No, I will win." Bai Zhao's expression became dreadfully cold. Those people only became so rampant because of Baiji's connection with that man from the Holy Land. If I can become a member of that power, then I can protect her again. Then why didn't you tell your sister that it's for her that you are partic? 1p. Eating? Facing the direction of where Bai Yin left, the lad's sharp gaze eventually softened up. With my understanding of her personality, she would definitely stop me from entering the compet. 1. Tying if it was for her sake. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Revenge for you, too. What's more, pausing to collect his thoughts, Bai Xiao reaffirms his stance. I haven't misplaced my words there either. Bai Ruo already paid the price that day in the palace, but Nangong is still flaunting about thanks to the help of the Holy Land. I can't allow him such freedom. That's why I want to defeat him in public. I must shame him like he did to my sister. Bai Xiao, we are brothers. If there's anything you need, then say it. I will certainly be the first to help. Meanwhile, back outside, Bai Yin was currently strolling through the crowded streets when her senses picked up a dangerous gaze shooting her way. Faintly frowning at first, her alarmed body quickly relaxes after realizing who it was. It was Bai Ji sitting atop of the second floor in a restaurant, filled with hatred in her eyes. This bald girl with the word B, I, to C, H, deeply engraved on her forehead was every bit like her sister Bai Ruo, just rougher and more vicious. No need. Retracting her gaze, Bai Yin dismisses the killing intent and moves on. I said I will give my brother several more days to handle his matter. It's fine even if the Bai house lives for a bit longer. But, puckering her dainty little lips, the demon princess appears to be aggrieved by the fact that she can't clobber the enemy. Your brother will be coming back soon. Sure enough, this sentence instantly shuts the naughty lass up and even made her get all teary. Sister-in-law, can you not mention my brother? Just the thought of him would make me scared. Is your brother really that scary? Raising a smirk, Bai Yin was rather intrigued by this strange behavior. How can you say he's not scary? It's unsure what Di Xiao one was remembering as a result of that question. However, that aggrieved face and timid appearance showed how close to crying she was. Even those legs were shivering hard. Did he hit you? Bai Yin asked with a brow raised. Well, no, he never hit me. Pursing those pink little lips, the demon princess deliberately puts on a pitiful face. I don't know why either. Whenever he comes around and stand before me, I would always fall into a stumbling fright, just from his aura. Did you know? Only you and little Xiachen are not afraid of my brother. Such a brother, who wouldn't be scared? Revealing a touch of confusion by the explanation, Bai Yin didn't quite agree with the girl's view. Sure, Di Tsang definitely had a strong, gloomy aura that can intimidate anyone, but to instill fear? That's sort of stretching it in her opinion. Sister-in-law, my brother treats you and Xiachen especially different. So, I'm certain he would never scare you. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Your brother keeps reminding me of how he wants to chop off my arms and legs. Now you say he doesn't try to scare me. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Revenge for you, 3. Di Xiao one was so shocked by the news that she didn't even realize how big her beautiful eyes were popping. Not missing how startled her friend there was, Chu Yi immediately chimes in with her enchanting ways. Oh, Di Xiao one. Turns out your brother is such a ferocious man that he's totally different from my brother, who is kind and gentle. Did I mention he would even pluck the stars from the starry sky for her? Unamused by the comparison, the demon princess quickly fires back with her own argument. If your brother is so capable, then why hasn't he won over sister-in-law's heart yet? I bet they never even shared a kiss yet, while I personally saw my brother doing it. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, stunned by how quick-witted the Dumba Klutz was here today. Chu Yi really had the urge to smash her own head in for taking the opponent so lightly. It's getting late. If you two want to continue arguing, then we're leaving first. P.R.I.C. King or Brow, Bai Yin didn't forget to leave behind her last remark to the demon princess. Oh yes, I will pass. That's on what you said just now to your brother. Inside the private room of the restaurant, Bai Ji's expression was somewhat twisted after retracting her gaze from the street. Ji, not missing the extreme change in the girl's face, The man sitting across from her quickly wrinkles his forehead in response. Is something wrong? The question definitely had an effect on relieving the girl's mood. Returning her eyes over to the handsome young man, Baiji starts getting all teary, like how her sister usually does. Brother Liu, I just saw Bai Yin, the woman I've told you about. It wasn't enough for her to frame my sister by Ruo. Now, she also wants to clear out my family in its entirety. Then, as if that wasn't enough, the girl deliberately lowers her head while biting that lip, making her look all the more weak and pitiful. Mother always said men like those who are more sensible. So, to get to Lu Zifeng's heart, I must learn to be like my sister and copy her ways. Only by S. and T. C. Hing his heart will I be able to become a part of the Holy Land. What good load of bulk. RAP there. Nevertheless, it had the perfect effect on rousing Lu Zifeng's anger. Gently caressing Baiji's face, he warmly pulls her in for an embrace. You mustn't say that to me, Ji. Don't worry, I've already had Nangong consume the forbidden pills I readied for him. During the next month or so, his cultivation will return to its peak prior to his injury. And, as an insurance, I also enhanced his powers to a whole new level. Looking up in surprise, Baiji almost sounded hesitant there until she realizes what it meant for her future. This. Wouldn't that be bad? What if there's a side effect to the forbidden pills? There is nothing wrong with it. A man who can't even protect his beloved woman doesn't deserve to live to begin with. Lu Zifeng, would never allow the woman that I love to leave my arms. With that said, the man then tightens his grip around hers and causes the girl to shyly lower her head in Imbara. N.T. sighing at that kindness, Lu Zifeng wanted to thank the divine for giving him this wondering girl. Sadly for him, that's no kindness at all, just his misconception. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Revenge for you for... All right, we will do as you wish. Brother Liu, thank you for believing in me. Getting red and blushy, Baiji never felt so happy before. I originally thought you would also believe I am one of those women after hearing all those rumors. I don't want to keep it from you. The truth is I nearly became Lord Song's wife. It wasn't of my own volition back then. Rather, it was the Queen's will, so I couldn't say no. As bitter as he was over the fact that his woman nearly became another's, Lu Zifeng nevertheless showed his grace by comforting the girl on the shoulder with a pat. I understand. You don't need to explain yourself. A gentle and kind woman like you can never possibly favor a man like Ditsong. Such a vicious and cruel man like that could never bring you love. Besides, he would have eventually caused you immeasurable pain considering his personality. Lu Zifeng's ideology was that if he loves a woman, then he must give her all the trust, even if this means disbelieving everyone else. Furthermore, he not only likes Baiji because of her baldness, rather it's her innocence and straightforwardness that truly draws him in. Despite the grand thoughts running through the man's head, Baiji, on the other hand, wasn't so kind. Just out of reach from those eyes, the girl revealed a sinister smile that gave no doubt about her true character. Bai Yin, so what if you got the demon beast sect behind your back? That power can never match up to the Holy Land. This time I will make you lose everything and more. Bai Yin didn't have much interest in other people's compet. 1. Taiyan's here today. Many are only here to test their luck and nothing more anyways. Instead, her sole focus was entirely spent on tickling the baby white cat in her bosoms and the 2 followers that's completely captivated by the show. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Is this standard of a compet? 1. Time really all that interesting? Her voice was cool and uninterested. I'm only interested in the sort of people coming to partake. 1p8. After all, I still wouldn't want some bad seeds to mix into the Holy Land. Due to Chu deliberately lowering her voice when replying, none in the audience other than the closest people next to her could hear this. Shrugging at that answer, Bai Yin had nothing more to add. It's reasonable and a good thing, so there's no reason to object. Under the gaze of this enchanting woman, Bai Yin watches on as her brother slowly ascends up to the arena. Without deviation, the boy's opponent was none other than Nangong. Despite it only being a few days since that event in the palace, the man appeared very different here today. Sunken eyes with an aura of death hovering overhead. To say this prince was still the same proud individual from back then was impossible. So that's why, mumbling as if she's figured something out, no wonder Nangong he can continue to use his powers after Di Song abolished his cultivation. It's because he used a rebirth Dan pill. Smiling at the boy's wish to learn, Bai Yin happily obliged the request. This sort of Dan pill is considered a forbidden item. The effects can indeed restore the individual's powers and even regrow one's limbs, but that also means the side effects are extremely intense. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Xiao versus Nangong, she's had the privilege of seeing such pills in her previous life. However, due to their harmful nature, she soon destroyed them not long after obtaining them. Smiling at the question, Bai Yin happily obliged the girl's nosy nature, first leaning back to get into a more comfortable position. Those who consume such a pill will lose their ability to be reborn after death, meaning their soul can never be reincarnated. Gasping hard at that knowledge, the demon princess never thought such an evil product could exist, nor did she foresee someone like Nangong to go to such an extent. However, such a reaction only applied to Di Xiao Wan, while Chu Yi was emotionless the entire way, solely focused on the fight that's occurring. A coward like Nangong, you would never have the courage to consume such an evil product. I'm sure he only did it because someone deceived him. Raising a smirk, Bai Yin can only call this justice. If there's no greed, then there's no fault. Such an outcome can only be faulted on the man himself and no one else. Towards her son's question, Bai Yin unconsciously froze for a second. Don't worry, I believe in him. Xiao is my brother. He can't possibly lose to someone like that. Back on the stage, Nangong was currently eyeing his opponent in an eerie manner. Bai Xiao, I never would have fallen into this state if not for your sister's doing. I will kill you and then make her regret for the rest of her life. Unfazed by the threat, Bai Xiao confidently refutes the claim, I won't lose. For my sister, I can't lose. Ho ho. Chuckling with a sinister tone in his voice, Nangong appears amused by the boy's resistance. I'm afraid that won't do at all. Bang! Smashing out a palm strike of his own, Nangong then starts laughing maniacally as he swung himself to the side to make a lethal blow to his opponent. Die. Everyone who is related to Bai Yin must die today. While all of this fighting was taking place, Bai Ji, on the other hand, was currently sitting atop of a high platform outside of the arena. Were you looking at Ji? It's unsure when Lu Zifeng came around, but his arms had already curled around the girl's waist and pulled her into an embrace. Brother Lu, Bai Yin is also here to watch the fight today. Could you do me a favor and not show yourself in a bit? Due to how tense she was inside, Bai Ji's grip instinctively tightened around the man's arm. Why so? Lu Zifeng asks, bewildered by the strange request. Bai Yin emphasizes power and authority, and you're all of that. I fear she would. Scoffing a laugh, Lu Zifeng dismisses the fear in his woman's heart. Ji, you mustn't let others sway yourself. I like you because of your innocence and gentle heart. Even if that Bai Yin is more beautiful, she can never match up to your good points. With that said, the man then followed Bai Ji's gaze and found the reddish figure in question. From his eyes, only disgust could be seen. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Xiao versus Nangong E2. A woman's beauty is nothing more than a skin sack in the end. Besides, such a poisonous heart will only be a misfortune for any who marries her. Gee, do you know who that girl is sitting beside the woman? Why do I feel like I've seen her somewhere before? This question instantly causes the black-hearted Bai Ji to tense up. With vigilance in her eyes, she carefully forms a random answer. She is Bai Yan's maid. That's right. That girl is always circling around Bai Yan. If she's not a maid, then what else can she be? Did that be I-T-C-H catch Brother Lu's fancy? So it's just a maid? Exhaling a sigh of relief, Lu Zifeng didn't doubt his love's word at all. If it's just a maid, then there's nothing to care about. We can just ignore that group. As a mere inner circle disciple, it's only normal that Lu Zifeng wouldn't have the pleasure of meeting the great princess of his sect. The most would be a sing glimpse of the girl from a faraway distance. After all, considering how vast and huge the Holy Land's territory was, only the core disciples, which resides in the core area of the sect, would have the opportunity to greet the girl under normal circumstances. Just like I thought, that Nangong, he really is truly useless. By the time this man had shifted his attention back to the arena, the former crown prince was already losing ground and had signs of being overwhelmed. If not for Ji's sake, I would never waste a forbidden pill on such a useless garbage. As frosty and disdainful his eyes were, Lu Zifeng had no compulsion to interfere here. He's long planned for something like this, so it's entirely within his expectations. Why shall must I today? Didn't they all say the crown prince? Oh wait, it's the former crown prince of the Lu Hui kingdom now. Didn't they say he's the #1 genius of our kingdom? It's one thing that he couldn't defeat Lord Song, but now he can't even beat a lad that's 6 years younger than himself? This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Che, this former genius really is disappointing. It's no wonder he would sire such a useless son like Nangong Lin. I say, the good genes must be coming from the Lan family's blood. Just look, first there's Bai Yin, and now there's Bai Xiao. Then compare those two over to Bai Ruo and Bai Ji. They're like world apart. Because of fear for the Holy Land, these people could only whisper these words between themselves. Even so, the gossiping could not evade the prince that's currently fighting atop of the arena. Towards this sudden outburst, Bai Xiao can only make a frown because his opponent had suddenly pulled out a crystal-clear bottle containing a darkly liquid. Haha, laughing maniacally after getting a huge boost from the medicine. Bai Yin, I know you are here somewhere watching this fight. I will give you another chance. Become my wife, and I will let your brother live. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Xiao versus Nangong E3. Going cold in his irises, Bai Xiao instantly rushes forward to slash down with his longsword. From what I recall, taking enhancement potions to improve one's strength is forbidden during the combat. One time, isn't what he's doing equivalent to disregarding the rules? He's crazy. Nangong is truly crazy. The onlookers were all gasping at the scene, wondering if the Holy Land was really determined to shelter the guy. Unfortunately for the lad that's been taking the lead up until now, Nangong, he have fully stabilized his newfound powers before the slash could make contact. Showing an almost tick smirk, this prince wanted to laugh at the lad's struggle. It's useless. Boom. Following a thunderous palm strike, which landed directly onto Bai Zhao's chest, the boy could barely hold onto his sword by then. Even his mouth was seeping with blood after that attack. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, nevertheless. The firmness in those eyes could not be wiped away, no matter the injury. The girl's voice didn't even get to die down yet, and the bodyguard that came with her on this trip had already kneeled down to report. Princess, according to my knowledge, it's a disciple called Lu Zifeng. Lu Zifeng? Who is he? Wrinkling her brow, Chu Yi just couldn't recall who the man was. As such, she completely dismisses the issue and dived right into the problem. I don't know who the heck he is, but I do know using a forbidden item is against the rules of her sect. That Lu Zifeng not only secretly ride such an evil product, he also ignored the rules set by my father. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the white guard can literally feel the sweat dripping down his forehead at this point. Princess, should I go give a warning to that Lu Zifeng then? Warning? There is no need to give him a warning. Go subdue him as soon as this test is over and send him back home. The person needs to be properly disciplined. Still clenching hard on her fist, Chu Yi was determined to remove anyone who dares to tarnish the Holy Land's name. Never diverting her gaze from the arena, even until now, Bai Yin was also quite tense at the situation. Let's wait for a bit. As much as she would love to rush down there to put a stop to this farce this instant, This woman knows that cannot be at this time. Otherwise, it will greatly hamper her brother's future achievement. However, if Xiao does become endangered, I will personally make a move. You need not interfere. Lu Zifan, Inner Circle Disciple, it seems that the Holy Land needs to be cleansed of its bad seeds. The situation within the arena had become very one-sided now. Previously, it was Nangong Yi being slowly overtaken. Now it's by Xiao who's being suppressed at every turn and had the look of being defeated at any minute. Bang! Now that did it. This time Bai Yin can no longer suppress her urge to help, even if this means her brother will resent her for interfering in the future. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Xiao versus Nangong E4, but just when she wanted to go take action, Bai Yin suddenly took notice to her brother's figure slowly climbing up from the ring. Brother, Bai Yin murmurs to herself, he really is my brother, exactly just like me. Her feelings were mixed here. She's proud that the boy would be so strong under pressure, but at the same time she's worried that he might really get hurt. Then again, the woman here had no right to say that aloud, for she has done the same in the past. Regardless of the dangers ahead, Bai Yin would knowingly jump into the flames just for the sake improving herself. Huh! Cackling a sardonic laugh, Nangong Yi appears amused by the lad's vow. Bai Xiao, if you just admit defeat here, then I will let you live. Why so stubborn? Are you intentionally doing this so I can kill you? Unfazed by the temptation, I don't need you to show me mercy. I only need to show the world that my sister has me backing her. That's right, for her. He can exhaust everything in this lifetime. Such a wonderful brother. What more can she ask for? With nothing more to be said there, Bai Xiao once again presses on with his retaliation, aiming his sword straight for Nangong Yi's heart this time. However, it was useless. Not only did it get deflected by the man's bare hands, the following counter only got worse, like a hail raining down from above. So this is the place that my precious disciple has been living in for all these years. Strolling through the busy streets of the capital, Bai Yan's third Shifu, Xiao Shu Rong, was currently making a heavy frown on his face over this picture. The reasoning, it's because the place can't even hold a candle to the amazing environment of their holy land. I can't believe my precious disciple could endure living in such a polluted place for so many years. Boss, old 3, isn't this sort of bad to meddle in Yin Yan's affair without her knowledge? The one saying this was none other than Run E that's walking in the middle of them 3. He's the second Shifu, and he appears quite worried and nervous. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. It's already a great gift from the heavens that their precious apprentice would be so capable. Even their alchemy was taught by the Law S. Now that she's in trouble, it would be a sin to not step in and take the charge in fending off any B. S. or D who dares to soil her good soul. Boss, old 2, slightly wrinkling his brow, Xiao Shu Rong suddenly offers up a suggestion. Didn't our holy land send someone to recruit people in this kingdom? Why don't we go over there and see what's happening? I'm sure the event would have caught our Yin Yan's attention. Okay, that idea is the best thing you've said all day. Nabbing a pas, Serbi out of convenience, Ren, second Shifu. Then makes a quick inquiry about their upcoming destination. Where is the palace of your kingdom? Due to how hurried they were in rushing over, the 3 elders had disregarded the act of bringing an entourage with them, adding in the fact that they had no idea of the layout of this place. They summed the compet. 1. Tie-in must be within the palace grounds based on previous cases. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Zhao's breakthrough. 1. All of you are going to the palace? For what? Don't these old bones know the palace grounds can't be traced by? Said by just anyone? In truth, Ren E, second Shifu, and his 2 brothers here had seen the D's portrait before, but due to how haggard the person before them were, they just couldn't recognize him. Moreover, there's bound to be some difference from a picture to the real person. That's why it's normal these 3 elders couldn't recognize the middle-aged man. Of course, it's to search for someone we know. Tell me right away where to look. Due to how urgent Run E was inside, He had somehow missed the contemptible gleam emulating out of the man's iris. Going to the palace to find someone? As if that would be true. I bet they are here after catching wind of the Holy Land's recruitment. That's why they are here. Snickering in his mouth, Bai Zhengxiang clearly didn't believe their story. Lighting up at the claim, the second elder became overjoyed. Really? We're looking for Bai Yin. Do you know if she's in the palace right now? Bai Yin. Sure enough, the name instantly causes the B-A-S-T-A-R-D's complexion to change dramatically. These old bones are actually here to seek out that unfilial girl. Can it be they're in some sort of illicit relationship? Otherwise, why else would they come so far to see her? With that thought in mind, Bai Zhengxiang then takes another careful look at the elder's face. Due to how red and excited Run E was in his face, the B-A-S-T-A-R-D summed it must be true despite it being only his one-sided opinion. Everyone, I advise you to stay away from her, otherwise you might get involved with more trouble than you can handle. Raising a contemptible smirk, this shameful example of a father then puts on the air of superiority. Bai Yin has offended one of the disciples from the Holy Land, so she won't be able to survive much longer. I'm only advising you 3 out of kindness based on your old age. Turn back now before it's too late. Bai Zhengxiang would of course not do this out of kindness. He's only worried that the girl would eliminate these 3 once they seek her out. A dead person can't talk, meaning he won't have any evidence to prove their illicit relationship if she kills them on the spot. Therefore, the only option left was to trick them to his home. Only at the Bai house will he be able to use them to his bidding. As nice as the idea was for the B-A-S-T-A-R-D across from them, Ren E and his 2 brothers behind him were all showing a strange light in their eyes at the claim. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation by Yin offended a disciples of the Holy Land. What the heck is that? There's actually a dumb enough disciple within the ranks to provoke her? Lu Zifeng, the B-A-S-T-A-R-D readily answers with his chin raised into the sky. Lu Zifeng? Who's that? Xiao Shu Rong, 3rd Shifu, was silent for a while before muttering to his brothers. If I remember correctly, the one leading the group over here to the Lu Hua Kingdom is called just that. Huh, that Lu Zifeng got quite the gals there. Isn't he? There's not a single core disciple within the Holy Land daring enough to provoke my precious disciple. Now a simple outer circle is flaunting about and making up a storm? The guy must be broken in the head or something. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Zhao's breakthrough, too. Apparently Qiao Shu Rong, 3rd Elder, have forgotten something very important here. Not only does most people within the Holy Land not know of Bai Yan's true identity. 1. Tai, even those core disciples have only learned of her existence through the monthly cultivation rations created by the woman at times in the past. Of course, the portions were usually minuscule at best and would warn a wave of infighting among the core disciples. Since you know Bai Yin, then you should also know about the one called Bai Zhengxiang. But I am Bai Zhengxiang. Go and pass. S on a message to that Bai Zhengxiang for us. Tell him to crawl over here to face his end. Sneering with contempt, the 1st Elder radiated a serious level of killing intent in his old eyes. Also, which way is to the palace? Now that greatly startled the B-A-S-T-A-R-D in question. Confused by the intimidating appearance, he begins to wonder about these 3's background. Nevertheless, he answers honestly to the last question after making a heavy gulp. Go straight 500 meters to the east, then turn west. The palace should be 800 meters in that direction. But before the 3 elders were gone from view, Qiao Shu Rong, 3rd Elder, didn't forget to send another glance back at the B-A-S-T-A-R. Remember to pass. S on that message for us. Go tell that Bai Zhengxiang to crawl over to the palace within the next hour. If he's late, even by a minute, then we will show him what it means to cross us. The man was literally flabbergasted there. Growing a little white, the B-A-S-T-A-R-D shoots back a question in response. Don't you 3 know Bai Zhengxiang's identity? 1 Tai. Nothing but a SCUM. What status could he possibly hold? Showing a contemptible sneer, the third elder completely shuts the D's mouth up with his overwhelming aura. It's not that Bai Zhangxiang doesn't want to fight back against that downplay of himself, but anyone would learn after suffering so many losses over a short period. As such, he subconsciously endured the humiliation. Nothing but an inner disciple only, he actually dares to say the Holy Land is his territory? Quit dreaming. Frowning by now, the third elder finally loses his patience. And you are too talkative. Go and pass. S on the message, that's all. Despite the rude demand, Bai Zhangxiang didn't have the courage to refute it. Even so, the gloom hovering within his eyes cannot be hidden, which instantly exploded into a furious rage as soon as the three elders were gone. DAM in it. Just based on you three that you think I would crawl over there to face my end? Just wait. I have the Holy Land as my backer. When the time comes, I will make you all beg in front of me. Elders, you are finally here. This is so great. We've been waiting here for a while now under Sir Lu's instruction. As soon as the sight of the three seniors were spotted, these men had rushed over to pay their respect. In light of the warm reception, Ren E, second elder, only got cold in his snickering smirk. It seems someone have leaked our travels from within. Nothing but a lowly character, and he dares to perceive our whereabouts? Like his brother, Chiu Shu Rong, third elder, also got extremely rude in his remark. And why did he not receive us at the city's gate if he knew we were coming? Is he looking down at us three? By now the head guard was already swelling with sweat across his forehead. Did Sir Lu offend these three elders? How come they seem so menacing in their words? If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Zhao's breakthrough 3. Dear elders, Sir Lu H. He only just received the letter. Before the guard could even finish his sentence, Zheng Qi, first elder, had already bypassed, said the fool to head into the palace. Back over at the compet. 1. Tie and field. Bai Xiao was quickly losing stamina under the constant barrage of attacks from his opponent. Come on, show me whatever ability you have left. Twisted in his maniacal grin, Nangong, he reveals an unnerving level of madness in those eyes. As you wish then. Without hesitation, after feeling the energy swarming back into his muscles, Bai Xiao tosses aside his already destroyed sword and dashes forward once again. Just like the first strike he did at the beginning of this fight, he's relying solely on his own internal strengths to attack this time. Bang! Getting blown away by the aftershock of their palm strikes meeting. This time the lad wasn't so fortunate and felt one of his arms go limp. It's quite apparent a part of his shoulder joint had been dislocated. Even so, Bai Xiao didn't retreat or cower at the intense pain. Popping another pill this time to make a swift recovery, he charges forward a second time like a general that doesn't know defeat. So you want to compete with me in using pills? Fine. Alas, Nangong Yi's strength was gradually starting to drain as the fight dragged on, especially after taking a direct blow from his own carelessness not long after. No, I can't lose to the likes of you, impossible. Bloodshot in his eyes, the flaws are quickly showing itself in Nangong Yi's movements. Not missing the change, Bai Xiao immediately followed his instincts and made a punch for the man's face. Sure enough, it landed without any difficulty and even knocked out some of the teeth as his foe rolled across the floor. Then at the same time as this occurred, a massive influx of energy suddenly converged on the lad's body. This was the sign of someone making a breakthrough, and not a small one either, because even the air in the sky was starting to gush towards their location. Feeling the power surging across his veins, the lad swiftly sat himself into a meditative position to stabilize his new strength. After half a ring, the excessive energy was expelled through the top of his head, and thus bringing the boy into a whole new level altogether. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Sister, I said it, I won't lose. After opening his eyes, the first person the lad wanted to see was his very own sister sitting in the audience seat. That's right, I said I will protect you, so how can I lose at the very beginning? though Bai Xiao didn't say this last part aloud. But the gentle smile from his handsome face was more than enough to convey his feelings. Unfortunately for this pair of siblings, a certain little steam bun wasn't very happy at their conversation. Tugging at his mother's sleeve, Bai Xiaochen puts on a pitiful expression when asking, "Mother, if uncle is your pride, then what am I?" If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Revenge for you too. What's more? Pausing to collect his thoughts, Bai Xiao reaffirms his stance. I haven't misplaced my words there either. Bai Ruo already paid the price that day in the palace, but Nangong is still flaunting about thanks to the help of the Holy Land. I can't allow him such freedom. That's why I want to defeat him in public. I must shame him like he did to my sister. Hearing these murderous words from his friend, Wei Qin could only stop trying to persuade him. He knows nothing can change the boy's mind now. Bai Xiao, we are brothers. If there's anything you need, then say it. I will certainly be the first to help. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Meanwhile, back outside, Bai Yin was currently strolling through the crowded streets when her senses picked up a dangerous gaze shooting her way. Faintly frowning at first, her alarmed body quickly relaxes after realizing who it was. It was Bai Ji sitting atop of the second floor in a restaurant. Filled with hatred in her eyes, this bald girl with the word bitch deeply engraved on her forehead was every bit like her sister Bai Ruo, just rougher and more vicious. Sister-in-law, just wait for me here. I will go teach that girl a lesson so she doesn't show her face around us again. Displeased by the unpleasant-looking shooting their way, Di Xiao immediately curled up her sleeves in preparation for a big fight. No need. Retracting her gaze, Bai Yin dismisses the killing intent and moves on. I said I will give my brother several more days to handle his matter. It's fine even if the Bai house lives for a bit longer. But, puckering her dainty little lips, the demon princess appears to be aggrieved by the fact that she can't clobber the enemy. Your brother will be coming back soon. Sure enough, this sentence instantly shuts the naughty lass up and even made her get all teary. Sister-in-law, can you not mention my brother? Just the thought of him would make me scared. Is your brother really that scary? Raising a smirk, Bai Yin was rather intrigued by this strange behavior. Although Di Tsong tends to favor tactics and is scaring others, but according to her own image the man have never taken the threats into practical action. For that reason, she's actually got a decent view of the guy. How can you say he's not scary? It's unsure what Di Xiao was remembering as a result of that question. However, that aggrieved face and timid appearance showed how close to crying she was. Even those legs were shivering hard. Did he hit you? Bai Yin asked with a brow raised. Well, no. He never hit me. Pursing those pink little lips, the demon princess deliberately puts on a pitiful face. I don't know why either. Whenever he comes around and stand before me, I would always fall into a stumbling fright just from his aura. Did you know? Only you and Lil Xiachen are not afraid of my brother. She still remembers it clearly. Years ago, when those women in the demon realm were swarming to get near her brother, the man only needed to shoot one threatening stare to scare them all away like frightened rabbits. Such a brother, who wouldn't be scared? Revealing a touch of confusion by the explanation, Bai Yin didn't quite agree with the girl's view. Sure, Di Tsong definitely had a strong, gloomy aura that can intimidate anyone, but to instill fear? That's sort of stretching it in her opinion. Sister-in-law, my brother treats you and Xiachen especially different. So, I'm certain he would never scare you. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Originally, the demon princess wanted to use this opportunity to be a good assistant to her own brother and make a memorable impression. However, the end result didn't go as she planned and even came back to bite her in the back. Your brother keeps reminding me of how he wants to chop off my arms and legs. Now you say he doesn't try to scare me? Sure, Fu is here. 1. From what I remember, the rules of this test is that one cannot intake a potion that can temporarily boost one's own strength. I'd like to know what's your opinion on Nangong Yi's action then. Faint in her smile, Bai Yin easily points out the fault here. Sweating all over at the inquiry, Nangong gnashes his teeth and simply lied outright. She's framing me. This was no surprise at all because they had already matched their stories prior to the test. Their plan was to refute the claim no matter who asked. I had something to do earlier, so I couldn't witness the act myself. Everyone, is there anyone present here who saw what she claims? With that said, Lu Zifeng then swept his threatening gaze around the arena, warning them enough to know what not to say. In reality, the man here had been paying close attention to the fight the entire way, right up from the beginning. But there's no way he will admit something so Ning, would he? Exchanging a look with their nearest bystanders, those close enough to understand the ins and outs hurriedly denied it. We didn't see it. That's right. If none of us saw it with our own eye, then that means there's no proof to back up your claim. Even if you're trying to malign someone, you should at least come up with a better idea. That's right, Bai-Yin, this is the influence of power. No matter how hard you work in the future, you can never achieve what I have done today. Making a faint smirk of his own, Lu Zifeng attempts to make the final blow. It's not us in the Holy Land abusing our power to be biased. It's you who can't bring proof to the forefront. Without proof, we can't exactly frame an innocent contestant now, can we? Sister, it was then by Xiao Cutson due to his urgency. It doesn't matter if I don't enter the Holy Land. I will use my own strength to create a paradise in this world for you and my nephew. This undoubted had a warming effect on her heart. Revealing a stunning smile, Bai-Yin halts her brother from further speaking. It's okay, brother. I will take care of this matter. I have my reasons. That said, she then imprints the faces of all those around her, making sure not to miss a single individual. Are you all sure that Nangong, you didn't take a taboo drug? No response ever came, only murmuring silence of indecision from this crowd. They fear the demon beast sect and the flower brothel behind this woman, but they also fear the Holy Land even more. Then just when it appears that all hopes were lost for the righteous side, two resounded voices suddenly broke in with appropriate timing. I saw it. I also saw it. Seeking the source by turning around, Bai-Yin quickly saw who they were. It was the dowager and a young boy walking through the crowd. Shifu, the young boy shyly cries out for her attention. As the old saying goes, what goes around comes around. This was Nangong Juan, the prince who was saved by Bai-Yin and by Xiaqin in the palace a while back. Though the lad has been recognized by Bai-Yin as her disciple, but the woman was undoubtedly the worst mentor on the planet. Aside from a name, she has done nothing worthy of her post. Bai-Yin can understand why the young prince would side with her here. After all, she did save his life and give him a path to a bright future. But why was the dowager siding with her too? They've only seen each other a couple of times since she returned, hardly worthy to be called a deep relationship. Mother, Nangong Yuan, king, was very agitated by her mother's intrusion. Holy Land Princess, Xiao Wan, Demon Princess, turning dark in her smile, Bai-Yin cold eyes the crowd before her. Write down all their names. Aside from the dowager and my disciple Nangong Juan, none of the people here are permitted to ever purchase and drugs from any of our businesses. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Shifu is here. 2. When Ru's group of alchemists are almost ready, so it's about time the flower brothel opened up its pharmaceutical department. Note, when Ru is the boy that lost to Bai-Yin during her years traveling and is in charge of training her alchemist division. What? The flower brothel is going to start selling Dan pills and other medicinal drugs? Astonishment, shock. Those are the faces made by these cowardly people. Under normal circumstances, the creations of an alchemist would never be made public or for sale, meaning unless you were associated with one, then you can't buy it, even with money. But now she's claiming the flower brothel was going to start the process of selling Dan pills and other medicinal drugs to everyone. But the reaction of these people only lasted for that split second before they returned to normal. They're not dumb. No matter how important the products were, it pales in comparison to offending one of the most powerful and one ties on this land. Then, just as the princess of the Holy Land wanted to figure out the best way to blow these ignorant fools away, it was Bai Ji who suddenly cuts in and stopped her. Isn't it just some medicinal pills? What's so great about them? The Holy Land doesn't have much, but we do have plenty of Dan pills in stock. If everyone here needs some, I'm sure we can bring some out for sale. This undoubtedly elated the hearts of those who sided with her. They only did it out of fear for retribution from the man and this girl, so the fact that they would get a benefit out of nowhere was a big bonus. On the contrary, though, Lu Zifeng's complexion was starting to turn ugly. But the entire division of alchemists within the Holy Land is under the tight control of the three elders. As much as Lu Zifeng loved the straightforwardness of his woman there, he simply can't shirk off the awful feeling slowly clinging to his back right now. For many years now, he's been a disciple of the Holy Land, so understands full well how difficult that task was. Forget about coming face to face with the three elders. Just getting an audience from afar was nearly impossible for himself, let alone someone that's not even related to the Holy Land yet. Meanwhile, on another end, Chu Yi was in the middle of pulling out her identification token when she overheard this idiotic statement. Due to how startled the princess was, the girl actually dropped the badge to the ground in her moment of loss. How whimsical can she get? After bullying the elders' only disciple for so many years, she still wants them to like her? Chu Yi almost wanted to cut open the H's head right now to see if there's even anything inside. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Sir Lu, the elders are here. The chief elders are here. We're the chief elders. It's a status given only to those that are beyond the level of a regular elder, meaning even the sect leader of the Holy Land must be polite in front of them due to their undying service and loyalty. Initially, the man was quite irritated due to his puzzlement at the familiarity of that token, but upon hearing who has come, his irritation instantly transformed into elation. Before long, three elders with three different styles were soon within viewable distance. This should have been the best thing he ever saw in his life. Yet Lu Zifeng got the strange sensation that the three elders were coming at him with a very aggressive air. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Bai Xiao versus Nangong, Ian. She's had the privilege of seeing such pills in her previous life. However, due to their harmful nature, she soon destroyed them not long after obtaining them. Sister-in-law, what are the side effect of these rebirth Dan pills that you mentioned? Casting the woman a glance, Di Xiao Wan sounded very curious in her voice. Smiling at the question, Bai Yin happily obliged the girl's nosy nature, first leaning back to get into a more comfortable position. Those who consume such a pill will lose their ability to be reborn after death, meaning their soul can never be reincarnated. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation, gasping hard at that knowledge. The demon princess never thought such an evil product could exist, nor did she foresee someone like Nangong to go to such an extent. However, such a reaction only applied to Di Xiao Wan while Chu Yi was emotionless the entire way, solely focused in on the fight that's occurring. A coward like Nangong, you would never have the courage to consume such an evil product. I'm sure he only did it because someone deceived him. Raising a smirk, Bai Yin can only call this justice. If there's no greed, then there's no fault. Such an outcome can only be faulted on the man himself and no one else. Mother, using his pitiful eyes, Bai Xiaochen tugs at his mother's sleeve. Would uncle be in danger then? Towards her son's question, Bai Yin unconsciously froze for a second. Don't worry, I believe in him. Xiao is my brother. He can't possibly lose to someone like that. Back on the stage, Nangong was currently eyeing his opponent in an eerie manner. Bai Xiao, I never would have fallen into this state if not for your sister's doing. I will kill you and then make her regret for the rest of her life. Unfazed by the threat, Bai Xiao confidently refutes the claim, I won't lose. For my sister, I can't lose. Ho ho, chuckling with a sinister tone in his voice, Nangong appears amused by the boy's resistance. I'm afraid that won't do at all. With nothing more to say, the young lad was the first to make a move. Drawing his long sword, he charges forward like a bristling breeze, smooth and precise. Bang! Smashing out a palm strike of his own, Nangong then starts laughing maniacally as he swung himself to the side to make a lethal blow to his opponent. Die! Everyone who is related to Bai Yin must die today. While all of this fighting was taking place, Bai Ji, on the other hand, was currently sitting atop of a high platform outside of the arena. What are you looking at, Ji? It's unsure when Lu Zifeng came around, but his arms had already curled around the girl's waist and pulled her into an embrace. Brother Lu, Bai Yin is also here to watch the fight today. Could you do me a favor and not show yourself in a bit? Due to how tense she was inside, Bai Ji's grip instinctively tightened around the man's arm. Why so? Lu Zifeng asks, bewildered by the strange request. Bai Yin emphasizes power and authority, and you are all of that. I fear she would. Even if Bai Ji didn't finish her sentence, that doesn't mean her man there wouldn't pick up on the girl's worry. Scoffing a laugh, Lu Zifeng dismisses the fear in his woman's heart. Ji, you mustn't let others sway yourself. I like you because of your innocence and gentle heart. Even if that Bai Yin is more beautiful, she can never match up to your good points. With that said, the man then followed Bai Ji's gaze and found the reddish figure in question. From his eyes, only disgust could be seen. Face slapping, too. The little princess is within the Lu Hua kingdom? Why am I not aware of this at all? Che, how can a simple princess of royalty be enough to make those elders there address her as so? From what I hear, the young miss of the Holy Land is also called Little Princess by those inside. How can the young lady of the Holy Land be at our kingdom? Impossible. I'm betting it must be someone else that they are talking about. Ignoring the gossiping voices around, Zheng Qi, first elder, first brushes his sleeve to make himself look better before heading over to Bai Yan's location. Towards the sudden encroachment by the three seniors, Bai Xiao instinctively moved in front of his sister to act as a shield. Though the three appears quite friendly on the surface, but the actions of Lu Zifeng had tarnished his image of that power. That's why he would be so defensive here. Can the three of you control that aura of yours? What if you frighten my brothers with it? What sort of existence were the elders of the Holy Land? It's a status that demands respect from all that's not of their equal. Therefore, for Bai Yin to make such a demanding request so out of the blue, it's within expectations that the crowd would be popping their eyes in shock. This woman, it really begs to wonder if she's just plain stupid or simply daring to the core. Does she not know the three in front of her can squash her like a bug if provoked? Revealing a flicker of vicious light in her eyes, Bai Ji could already see the picture of her half-sister being turned into a puddle of blood. Mistake, it's our mistake. We forgot this isn't the Holy Land. Contrary to popular belief, instead of dishing out the proper punishment like everyone thought, the three seniors actually reseated their aura as asked. The blame really can't be on the regular people here. They just aren't accustomed to this sort of behavior from those of such high stature. What the H-E-L is going on? Though faint, but their hearts are starting to be gripped with a sense of unease, especially for those involved with framing Bai Yin and her brother just now. They didn't even have the courage to face the reddish figure of the woman at this point, for an impossible idea was starting to sprout in their minds. But before anything could be confirmed, a loud exclaiming scream from one side had caught their attention. It was Chu Yi jumping downward to pick up her identification token. Then, as if that steamy face wasn't enough, the La S then shot an angry yet distressed glare at the three old-timers like they did the most heinous crime in the world. It's all your fault. This token was personally engraved by my father. What if it got scratched just now? If anything happens to it, then I'm blaming you three. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Not many may know this, but the foolish man definitely does. In this world, to be able to use the surname Chu and receive special treatment from the three chief elders can only be one. Little Princess? A heavy gasp escapes his mouth following this realization. Forget about being pale, forget about being ghostly white. His complexion was literally a dead man's face this time. Horror? Fear? That's the sort of words that can come remotely close to what Lu Zifeng was feeling right now. Yo-U-A-R-R, the little princess. Chu-E-E. He was already wondering from before why the girl would appear so familiar in his memories. Now it made perfect sense. And on top of this explosive piece of information, his brain also remembered another important fact. In the entirety of the Holy Land, there's only one person that can make the little princess tag along like a little follower. Shifting his gaze over from Chu Yi to Bai Yin, Lu Zifeng's very own fear was attempting to hinder him from believing the answer in which he already knew. It's too obvious and too surreal. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. Face slapping 3. It was a few years ago. Lu Zifeng still remembers it clearly what his Shifu told him on the day of that person's entry into the Holy Land. Zifeng, you mustn't go provoking that person no matter what occurs. Otherwise, not even I, your Shifu, can protect you from the wrath of the 3 elders. It's over. If Bai Yin truly is the one mentioned back then, the only outcome awaiting me would be an ending worse than death. Brother Lu, what did you just say? By Ji's, I was popping hard like it's out to fall out. How could Bai Yan's little follower be the Holy Land's own princess? Based on what can she make such a prestigious person be her own personal attendant? This is absolutely impossible. Like the foolish girl, the rest of the crowd had also caught wind of Lu Zifeng's outburst there. However, more were inclined towards disbelief than being shocked at the truth. While this state of confusion continued on for a bit longer, it was Qiu Shu Rong's 3rd elder. Next sentence that shattered it and indirectly slapped Bai Ji across the face. Little princess, the Lord has tasked me to bring you a message on his behalf. He said that once you are done playing, then you should go back, lest you bring unnecessary trouble for Yin Yan. In light of the kind and gentle face the elder was making, it somehow carried an almost malicious intent for some reason, like it was meant for someone else. No, I will not believe this. Nothing but a follower of Bai Yan's. How could she be the little princess of the Holy Land? Brother Lu, tell me please, tell me this is impossible. Shaking her head in self-deceit, Bai Ji's palish face showed how dreadful her emotions were right now. All of you must be lying to me, right? Bai Yin brought so much pain to my family and to me. How can she be gifted with all these good things when she did so much evil? As painful as this was, Lu Zifeng could do nothing but close his eyes in acceptance. Ji, I'm sorry. I fear I'm unable to help you this time. That girl really is the princess of our sect. Even up to this point, this foolish man still didn't place the blame on the girl. That's right, my precious she is so kind-hearted and good inside. How can I possibly blame her for this ending? Finally, with the last pillar of support on her mind crumbling into nothingness, the disgusting girl had gradually fallen to the ground, her body trembling while she wept silently like a pitiful child. How can a world be so cruel? How can Bai Yin be so lucky when she's nothing but a T's daughter? Why? That's right. It's Bai Yin, that dirty warehouse-o, he stole everything from me. Ha ha. Tightening her fist until it's a clenched-up ball, she slowly got up with a poisonous tint in her eyes. So this is all the Holy Land can amount up to. To have your very own princess become a personal attendant for someone of such low standard, it's baffling how your sect can even come this far. The people were shockingly stunned by this sudden outburst, their lips quivering with fear from the maddening insults thrown out by that foul mouth. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation by Ji. Like the rest, Lu Zifeng practically screamed with horror in his eyes. Originally, the man was still trying to come up with a plan to help his woman escape this situation, but that was instantly crushed when the crazed girl unexpected threw out this bomb. L of a sentence. In his panic, Lu Zifeng could only rush up to cup that mouth from saying more. First elder, Ji is only a tad overly straightforward. Bang! Before any more excuses could be made, the senior had already sent a palm strike right out and blew the ignorant man across the arena and into the crowded seats. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers. It really helps. By Xiao versus Nangong, but just when she wanted to go take action, Bai Yin suddenly took notice to her brother's figure slowly climbing up from the ring. I said it, I will not lose. My dignity and pride can never permit me to lose to the likes of you. Wiping away the blood from the corner of his mouth, an ever-growing light of conviction was brewing in the lad's eye, which had the direct consequence of freezing his sister's footstep on the spot. Brother, Bai Yin murmurs to herself, he really is my brother, exactly just like me. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Her feeling were mixed here. She's proud that the boy would be so strong under pressure, but at the same time she's worried that he might really get hurt. Then again, the woman here had no right to say that aloud, for she has done the same in the past. Regardless of the dangers ahead, Bai Yin would knowingly jump into the flames just for the sake of improving herself. Huh. Cackling a sardonic laugh, Nangong Yi appears amused by the lad's vow. Bai Xiao, if you just admit defeat here, then I will let you live. Why so stubborn? Are you intentionally doing this so I can kill you? Unfazed by the temptation, I don't need you to show me mercy. I only need to show the world that my sister has me backing her. That's right, for her, he can exhaust everything in this lifetime. Using the wind and air as its mean, the words were like a current of warmth, filling Bai Yan's heart from top to bottom. Such a wonderful brother. What more can she ask for? With nothing more to be said there, Bai Xiao once again presses on with his retaliation, aiming his sword straight for Nangong Yi's heart this time. However, it was useless. Not only did it get deflected by the man's bare hands, the following counter only got worse, like a hail raining down from above. So this is the place that my precious disciple has been living in for all these years. Strolling through the busy streets of the capital, Bai Yan's third Shifu, Qiu Shurong, was currently making a heavy frown on his face over this picture. The reasoning is because the place can't even hold a candle to the amazing environment of their holy land. I can't believe my precious disciple could endure living in such a polluted place for so many years. Boss, old 3, isn't this sort of bad to meddle in Yin Yan's affair without her knowledge? The one saying this was none other than Run E that's walking in the middle of them 3. He's the second Shifu, and he appears quite worried and nervous. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. Didn't you read Yi's letter and the terrible state our apprentice is in? As her Shifus, how can we not come in person to support our one and only disciple? Zheng Qi, first Shifu, sighed after saying that. It's already a great gift from the heavens that their precious apprentice would be so capable. Even their alchemy was taught by the lass. Now that she's in trouble, it would be a sin to not step in and take the charge in fending off any bastard who dares to soil her good soul. Boss, old 2, slightly wrinkling his brow. Qiu Shu Rong suddenly offers up a suggestion. Didn't our holy land send someone to recruit people in this kingdom? Why don't we go over there and see what's happening? I'm sure the event would have caught our Yin Yan's attention. Okay, that idea is the best thing you've said all day. Nabbing a passerby out of convenience. Run E, second Shifu. Then makes a quick inquiry about their upcoming destination. Where is the palace of your kingdom? Due to how hurried they were in rushing over, the 3 elders had disregarded the act of bringing an entourage with them. Adding in the fact that they had no idea of the layout of this place, they assumed the competition must be within the palace grounds based on previous cases. Bai Zhao's breakthrough. 1. All of you are going to the palace? For what? It's quite unfortunate, but the one being grabbed was none other than Bai Zhang Xiang, bastard father, and based on that expression he's showing, it's obvious the man was feeling rather impatient at being stopped. Don't these old bones know the palace grounds can't be trespassed by just anyone? This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation. In truth, second Shifu, and his 2 brothers here had seen the bastard's portrait before, but due to how haggard the person before them were, they just couldn't recognize him. Moreover, there's bound to be some difference from a picture to the real person. That's why it's normal these 3 elders couldn't recognize the middle-aged man. Of course, it's to search for someone we know. Tell me right away where to look. Due to how urgent Run E was inside, he had somehow missed the contemptible gleam emulating out of the man's iris. Going to the palace to find someone, as if that would be true. I bet they are here after catching wind of the Holy Land's recruitment. That's why they are here. Snickering in his mouth, Bai Zhangxiang clearly didn't believe their story. Everyone, making a fake cough. I do have some connections within the palace. Why don't you tell me who you are looking for? Maybe I can help. Lighting up at the claim, the second elder became overjoyed. Really? We're looking for Bai Yin. Do you know if she's in the palace right now? Bai Yin. Sure enough, The name instantly causes the bastard's complexion to change dramatically. These old bones are actually here to seek out that unfilial girl. Can it be they're in some sort of illicit relationship? Otherwise, why else would they come so far to see her? With that thought in mind, Bai Zhengxiang then takes another careful look at the elder's face. Due to how red and excited Run Yi was in his face, the bastard assumed it must be true despite it being only his one-sided opinion. Everyone, I advise you to stay away from her, otherwise you might get involved with more trouble than you can handle. Raising a contemptible smirk, this shameful example of a father then puts on the air of superiority. What do you mean by that? Losing all level of kindness from his face, Ren Yi instantly got very dark. Bai Yin has offended one of the disciples from the Holy Land, so she won't be able to survive much longer. I'm only advising you 3 out of kindness based on your old age. Turn back now before it's too late. Bai Zhengxiang would of course not do this out of kindness. He's only worried that the girl would eliminate these 3 once they seek her out. A dead person can't talk, meaning he won't have any evidence to prove their illicit relationship if she kills them on the spot. Therefore, the only option left was to trick them to his home. Only at the Bai house will he be able to use them to his bidding. As nice as the idea was for the bastard across from them, Ren Yi and his 2 brothers behind him were all showing a strange light in their eyes at the claim. This translation is only hosted on Cat Translation by Yin offended disciples of the Holy Land. What the heck is that? There's actually a dumb enough disciple within the ranks to provoke her? What is the name of that disciple? Wrinkling his brow, it was Zheng Qi, first Shifu, who asked. Lu Zifeng. The bastard readily answers with his chin raised into the sky. Lu Zifeng? Who's that? Xiao Shu Rong, third Shifu, was silent for a while before muttering to his brothers. If I remember correctly, the one leading the group over here to the Luhua Kingdom is called just that. Huh, that Lu Zifeng got quite the gals there. Isn't he? There's not a single core disciple within the Holy Land daring enough to provoke my precious disciple. Now a simple outer circle is flaunting about and making up a storm? The guy must be broken in the head or something.